Unaona kiti ni mtu mmoja.
Wewe usinichuje hapa na pewe ni mtumwa.
Mimi ni mtumwa.
Usishikishie jaba mamako tafadhali.
It's the 3rd of February 2025. Welcome to the program. My name is Mike Migwen. You're watching Good Morning Kenya. Of course, it's a Monday and a lot is in store for you, and we are glad that you have chosen Good Morning Kenya to start your day off. Of course, as I have said, we have politics, we have other topics that we are going to talk about. But today on Eye on Politics, given that whatever that is happening within the country, today the Supreme Court is expected to give an advisory on whether we shall have new boundaries by the time we are getting to 2027 elections. This is an advisory that was sought by IEBC, given that we are 1 year late when it comes to matters of delimitation of boundaries, and some processes are in limbo. We are talking about some areas where by-elections have to happen. We're talking about Magarini and 2 other places, and also some wards that need to elect their MCAs. So those are some of the processes that are in limbo, but we wait to see the direction in which the High Court or the Supreme Court will give a direction regarding that matter. And also MPs expressed dissatisfaction over share deductions. They say that the money deducted is not commensurate to the services that are being rendered to the people. So where are we going to see a review of that? Because they have called for that review. And why now? Why has it taken so long to take or to address the issues that are concerning the deductions and services offered by SHA? That is one of the conversations that we are going to have here. And also, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka during the weekend in Kajiado, he said they are collecting evidence on abduction to present to the ICC. A lot has happened, and we are going to take a look at the state of the nation in our political segment, that is Eye on Politics. I'll be joined by Mark Dingo, who is a governance and political analyst, Augustus Muli, who is a party leader, National Liberal Party, George Kithi, who is an advocate of the High Court, and also Lucy Moria HSC, who is a political analyst. So that is a conversation that is coming right after the news with Marie Yambo. But before we go to Marie Yambo, Vivian is in the house. Good morning, Vivian.
Good morning, Mike. This is the first Monday of the new month of February. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya. It's always a pleasure that you choose us to start off your morning. Now, Mike has already mentioned some of the topics that he will be covering on Eye on Politics. And away from that, we'll also be having a conversation on cybersecurity. To be specific, we'll be talking about building resilience in cybersecurity. And joining me for that will be Tyson Gitonga, who is a business development manager. Then we'll also have Danstan Akwiri, who's the Vice President, CyberPro Global. And then aside from that conversation, we'll also be having our family check right here, as it's a Monday. And on family check, we'll be talking about emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence, and what do we need to know about emotional intelligence? And joining me for that will be one Pastor Paul Blessing, who's the director, Star with Paul. You definitely want to stay tuned for those conversations that will be coming to you from right here on Good Morning Kenya. And well, Marie, I don't know if you know this, but Arsenal fans are really a happy lot today. You know, yes, they got to win yesterday. They had a glorious win against Manchester City. Yeah, they had I mean 5.
I think
5-1 against
Yes.
Manchester City.
Yes.
Yeah, they thrashed
Wow.
Manchester 5-1.
5-1.
I would have wanted to hear what Victor would have said now that
Oh, thank
because you know
good-
Victor is a big fan of Arsenal.
Thank goodness he's not here because sababu
I
we would
actually
not have
watched
had the end
I
of
actually
it.
watched a bit of that match.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know I'm not a football fan, but yes, I was somewhere and I watched a bit of that match. And I remember, I can't remember his name. There was one of the players, I think, who scored his first goal ever for Arsenal. And I mean, just his reaction there.
Yeah.
But yes, it was 5 and I was so surprised. I was like,
And they
what's happening to Man
they
City?
scored the first goal within the first minute of the game.
Yeah.
Like Arsenal are really having a ball right now. And we won't talk about my team, that is Manchester United. We'll leave that for another day.
I dedicate one song to them by Agape Band, Shuka Yesu. Yeah.
Okay, that's, as far as football is concerned, but a very good morning from wherever you're joining us. This is Good Morning Kenya, and you're just in time for the show. Coming up in the news this morning, families of abductees claim they are being trailed by strangers, and church cautions politicians against balkanizing the country. Human activities identified as a major threat to conservation efforts. All that coming up in the news this morning, including not business today, but sports. But let's start right there with the issue of abductions, where activists Bob Njagi and brothers Jamil and Aslam Longton, who were allegedly abducted in Kitengela, Kajiado County in August last year, are now accusing security agencies of tracking and threatening to block their search for justice. Addressing the media in Nairobi on Sunday, relatives of Steve Mbesi and Kalani Mwema, who were said to have forcibly disappeared from Lolongo, have also spoken of what they claim to be threats from unknown people, warning them against seeking answers on the whereabouts of their kin. That report with Joseph Wakungo.
With pressure mounting on the state to explain recent cases of alleged abductions and extrajudicial killings reported in the country, victims of the said crimes, together with their families, are demanding accountability from security agencies. Speaking in Nairobi on Sunday, the 3 people who are reported to have been abducted in Kitengela in August last year said unidentified people have been tracking them.
On January 5th, 2025 at 6 a.m., I noticed a black Subaru Outback with a registration number KDP 044J with tinted black windows, black tinted windows, trailing me during my morning run in Kitengela. The exact vehicle was also seen surveilling Jamil and Aslam Longton on multiple occasions.
Relatives of Steve Mbisi and Kalani
We do sincerely apologize for that technical hitch. You can be rest assured that our technicians are working on it. So let me give you the first story again, where activist Bob Njagi and brothers Jamil and Aslam Longton, who were allegedly abducted in Kitengela, Kajiado County in August last year, are now accusing security agencies of tracking and threatening to block their search for justice. Addressing the media in Nairobi on Sunday, relatives of Steve Mbesi and Kalani Mwema, who were said to have forcibly disappeared from Lolongo, have also spoken of what they claim to be threats from unknown people, warning them against seeking answers on the whereabouts of their kin. That report as compiled by Joseph Wakongo.
With pressure mounting on the state to explain recent cases of alleged abductions and extrajudicial killings reported in the country, victims of the said crimes, together with their families, are demanding accountability from security agencies. Speaking in Nairobi on Sunday, the three people who are reported to have been abducted in Kitengela in August last year said unidentified people have been tracking them.
On January 5th, 2025 at 6 a.m., I noticed a black Subaru Outback with the registration number KDP 044J with tinted black windows, black tinted windows, trailing me during my morning run in Kitengela. The exact vehicle was also seen surveilling Jamil and Aslam Longton on multiple occasions.
Relatives of Steve Mbesi and Kalani Mwema, who were said to have been forcibly disappeared in Mlolongo in December last year, have also claimed to have received threats to abandon calls for action over the disappearance of the duo.
I began receiving numerous threatening calls, warning me to stop pursuing the case. The caller warned me that I would also be forcibly disappear.
Someone who claimed to be a police officer, he told me that my brother was in Lamu and would be released that night. However, he also wanted me to keep this information to myself or risk my brother heading up in morgue.
According to the Kenya Human Rights Commission, tens of Kenyans' whereabouts remain unknown. The activists want the state to defend witnesses with crucial information that will help in investigation and prosecution of perpetrators of the violations.
The numbers that we have since the protests began, 89 Kenyans have been enforcedly disappeared. But as of today, 29 are still missing.
We demand an immediate, independent and transparent investigation into the cases of Bob Njagi, Jamil Longton, Aslam Longton, Justus Mutumwa, Martin Mwau, Steve Mbesi, Kalani Mwema, and all other victims and survivors of enforced disappearance.
Our comrades, viva!
Viva!
Down, down with the abductions, down! Down!
To politics now, where a section of leaders allied to the Kenya Kwanza Alliance are appealing to all leaders to preach peace and avoid divisive politics that will undermine national unity. The leaders who spoke separately urged Kenyans to disregard utterances from political factions out to undermine the country's top leadership development agenda.
A section of elected leaders led by Kakamega Governor Fernandes Baraza were at a Thanksgiving church service in Lugari. Here, the leaders warned against divisive rhetoric, which they said could hinder national progress.
Wanaendelea kuwazungumzia mambo ya ukabila. Ukabila lazima tuachane nayo.
Magavana wote tuko nyuma yake, tutamuunga mkono mwaka wa 2027.
The undertone resonating in the neighboring Uasin Gishu County during a fundraiser to support traders at Moi Bridge who had lost goods after a fire broke out. The leaders, led by Area Governor Jonathan B. and Kapseret lawmaker Oscar Sudi, took issue with leaders that they said are dividing the country.
So tukae imara kama inji, tuweke inji pamoja na tuombee wale ambao wanapotoshwa, wale ambao hawajui maneno ya Mungu.
Ni wa kujenga barabara, ni wa kuweka stima, ni wa kuweka maji. Siasa itakuja 2027 na ikikuja tutafanya.
These are the section of leaders from Mount Kenya region defended Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi over his stand over the abduction cases in the country.
Kuna venye president ameelekezwa afanye kama ametosheka na a certain cabinet secretary.
Meanwhile, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka has urged Parliament to play its oversight role efficiently, calling upon the House to probe the efficiency of the new health fund SHA.
Haraka iwezekanavyo waachilie hiyo kitu, warudi kwa NHIF ambao wangapi wanasema warudi kwa NHIF. Na wabunge muwe na ukakamavu. Naona juzi wamekutana wabunge huko Naivasha na wote wanakubaliana kwamba hii kitu haiwezekani.
SHA haifanyi kazi. Huyo mama ameshikwa, amepelekwa mahakamani. Wiki hii wabunge wengi ni wa Kenya Kwanza wamesema kule Naivasha, ukweli tulipitisha sheria, tukaleta sera mbaya, SHA haifanyi kazi.
And chaos erupted at a fundraiser for the victims of the Moyes Bridge fire tragedy after supporters of two local leaders clashed. It was a free-for-all after supporters of Soy Member of Parliament David Kiplagat clashed with those of Area Governor Jonathan B. and security personnel. The fracas started after the Member of Parliament arrived at the venue of the fundraiser accompanied by his supporters. The legislator who is a critic of the governor, that is, used the event to dress down Governor B, accusing him of poor service delivery and neglecting the township. But governors and leaders present defended Governor B over attacks from the legislator, accusing him of taking advantage of the situation to get political mileage.
Hakuna mtu anaweza kuja kusema anaweza panga siasa ya Soy. Ni nyinyi peke yenu mtapanga siasa ya Soy. And I say DK is not the problem. The problem mtanitoa 2027.
Mapana kuja kulipiga kelele hapa ovyo ovyo, wewe hata yomba hiyo kazi hiyo gavana. Nani aliwaambia sisi magavana ni watu ya kuchezewa na kutukaniwa kila siku? Sisi pia tulichaguliwa na wananchi.
Mimi nimekuja asubuhi, nimeenda kanisani. Tumeenda tumeomba Mungu kule. Tumepeana pesa ya kanisa pale. Nilikuwa najua hapa mnatukaribisha tusaidie waathiriwa. Lakini mimi nimeshangaa vituko nimeona hapa. Wacha niambie nyinyi.
Mimi nataka tu kuomba viongozi tukue watu wa heshima. Wakati hata tunataka kusema iko shida hapa, iko shida pale, tufanye kwa njia ya heshima. Tusikuwe na nafasi ya saa zingine tunaona wajumbe wengine wanazombea magavana kama watoto. Sisi sio watoto wenu. Let us be serious.
The Anglican Church of Kenya Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit has raised concern over the rise of what he terms as ethnically skewed rhetoric. The cleric has warned that heightened ethnic mobilization by political leaders laced with threats is likely to jeopardize national cohesion.
Presiding over the retirement of Bishop Cletio Gario Ghetto from SEK Upper Southern Nyanza Diocese at St. Philip's Church, Kisii Town.
Tunajua mengi ambayo yanaendelea na mengi ambayo tumeshuhudia.
Anglican Church of Kenya Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit cautioned politicians he claims are beating the drums of war through ethnic mobilization.
We are also beginning to hear heightened political rhetoric and a lot of mobilization. Again, as usual in Kenya, we mobilize according to tribes and regions. And we can now see and can say the threat to cohesion in Kenya.
Sapit says Kenyans are peace-loving and should therefore not be set up against each other.
This will not give Kenya peace, and if we continue this way, this will become a national security issue.
He called on Kenyans to reject politicians bent on taking advantage of the country's ethnic diversity to create hostility to achieve selfish ends.
But we're also asking Kenyans to be patient with one another. Let us not listen to what politicians are telling us. let us know that your neighbor is your neighbor, irrespective of the language they speak. They are still your neighbors.
The church, in the meantime, has called on the government to speed up the implementation of its campaign pledges.
We are waiting to see whether those pledges is going to be done.
Bishop John Okinda, the overall overseer of PEFA Kenya, while making the calls, also called out the political class, accusing them of convoluting public affairs for political gain.
And Nyaga Kairu Primary School in Mugwe Ward, that is in Chuka Igamangombe constituency in Tharaka Nithi, is on the brink of closure following pupil shortage. When schools opened for the term 1 of the 2025 academic calendar, only 3 pupils reported back. The school is reported to have been struggling with pupil shortage for years, with learners having never exceeded 40 at any time.
Primary School in Mogwe, Tharaka Nithi County. A deserted compound tells the tale of a school in dire need of learners. Since schools reopened in January, only 3 pupils have reported. Most of the classrooms are empty, with learning having last taken place in October 2024. The 7 teachers in the school arrive every morning full of expectation, only to return home without any sign of chalk dust on their hands.
Juu kila wakati walimu wanakuja wanashinda hapa na hakuna kitu wanapata. Tuongee ukweli. Na sasa watoto wanarundi wanaenda, hatujui shinda ni nini. Juu walimu wanakuja shule, hatujui ni nini inaendelea.
Watoto 3 uwezi kunja hapa mkiwa 8. Mmekuja shule. Ni lazima mfanywe kazi nyingine bana. Juu kwa sababu ya nini? Utafanya kazi gani? Hakuna watoto, umekuja shule, unakuja kusomeza nini?
As questions linger as to what might have caused the shortage of learners, parents have been urged to take their children back to school.
Aki tafadhali tumemuomba, tusaidie ni shule yetu irundi. Ndio sababu hii shule yetu ikiisha, hata sisi hatujui tuko wapi.
Please. Saidini, mbega kwa mbega, muone watoto wameingia shule hii. Kwa sababu mkikataa hiyo, the school will be closed. And if the school is closed, your life is also closed.
In 2021, the school had an enrollment of 71 pupils, a number that has dropped over the years.
To matters environment now, where human activities on wetlands remain a major threat to conservation efforts. The slow progress of achieving meaningful results has alarmed environmentalists who have called for the adoption of proactive measures in the preservation of the ecosystem. The stakeholders spoke during the World Wetlands Day celebrations that focused on protecting wetlands for a common future. Timothy Kipnusu reports.
On Sunday, environmentalists across the country converged at the Alliance Boys High School in Nairobi as Kenya joined the rest of the world to commemorate the World Wetlands Day. Calls for stakeholders to join hands in conserving and protecting water towers were made. Speakers at the celebrations raised concern on the encroachment levels in wetlands, warning that major water towers were slowly hurtling towards being wastelands.
Wetland ecosystems are vulnerable to uncontrolled human activities that negatively impact on their ecological health, consequently causing loss of ecological functions. Encouragement of wetlands for agriculture, settlements, industrial and infrastructural development has led to loss of many wetlands in our country and globally.
Human activities such as illegal settlement, pollution, overgrazing and quarrying have been cited as the most potent menaces to the ecosystem.
Wetlands continue to face threats from climate change, from human activities. These challenges require urgent intervention to prevent further degradation.
Kuna a lot of pollution coming from fertilizers. We have to work together so that we can conserve that.
Speakers led by Environment Principal Secretary Festus Ngeno underscored the need for ensuring that punitive measures are applied on offenders.
We have put punitive measures to ensure that we deter
people who are interfering with Ondiri wetland. But even as we put measures to deter, we are also seeking to engage the residents to encourage and educate them on what they need to do and the benefits of the wetland to them.
We believe in keeping the environment sustained because we look at the far into the future. How do we enable the generations to come to utilize or take advantage of what we are taking advantage today?
The National Environment Management Authority, in the meantime, will coordinate the wetlands conservation initiatives across the country.
We are planning to bring a one-stop shop for climate across the country to ensure that everyone is onboarded on climate and environmental settings.
We feel that the government is recognizing the efforts that we, the stakeholders at Ondiri, are playing in protecting wetlands for our common future.
So on what we can do to make sure our environment gets even better and what role we can play in terms of also contributing to the conservation of the environment and also for compliance to matters of environment.
Over 60 stakeholders have so far adopted wetlands for restoration nationwide. Meanwhile, coastal wetlands are facing unprecedented levels of degradation, heightened by climate change effects, rising human population and high poverty levels. According to Kwale County Forest Conservator Rua Masha, the major cause of degradation of the mangrove forest areas are forces from the community surrounding the forests.
Tumekuwa na several challenges na mojawapo ambayo inakuwa a very big cause of degradation in the mangrove forest areas ni forces from the terrestrial kutoka kwa nchi kavu.
I have a goal of planting 1 million trees by 2032 and also for 1 million trees in 5 minutes so that I can get into the Guinness Book World of Records.
The celebrations were marked under the theme Protecting Wetlands for a Common Future.
Thank you, Timothy Kipnoso. Now to Matters Health, where a family in Busia is appealing for financial aid to facilitate the treatment of their kin who is a cancer patient. John Ojanji, a seasoned journalist, has been battling prostate cancer, that is, for more than a year and is desperate in need of financial assistance to facilitate his medication and chemotherapy sessions at the Kakamega Referral Hospital.
For a year now, John Ojanji has been battling prostate cancer.
Nimekuwa na tatizo la prostate cancer kuanzia mwezi wa Februari mwaka jana.
According to the family, Ojanji's diagnosis of the disease has been mentally, physically and financially draining. Over the past few months, Ojanji has undergone extensive tests, treatments and hospital visits, depleting his savings.
We've really struggled. Mutibu, you also understand that ugonjwa it took a lot of our resources.
Doctors have recommended continued chemotherapy sessions, but the cost of treatment and medication has taken a toll on Ojanji and his family. The rising medical costs have become overwhelming, and the family is now appealing for financial support to raise 4 million shillings to facilitate his medication and chemotherapy sessions at the Kakamega Referral Hospital.
Huwa naenda kliniki za chemotherapy, na chemotherapy wanataka damu mwilini mwako ambayo sio chini ya 10. Chemotherapy yangu huwa kliniki naenda Kakamega.
To support John Ojanji, you can channel your contributions to his M-Pesa number 0726951643.
A look now at sports, where Kenya's Mombasa Sports Club women team was in imperious form as they thrashed El Nasser of Egypt 9-0 on match day 3 of the Africa Cup for Hockey Club Championship ongoing in Egypt. El Nasser were unable to contain the flow of attacks from the Kenyan side as they slumped to their biggest defeat of the tournament. Nigeria's Kada Queens were also at their very best, humiliating Kampala Hockey Club 7-0 in the other women match played yesterday. Their Nigerian counterparts, Plateau Queens, suffered a narrow one-win loss to Samoa Club of Egypt. In the men's encounter, Kada Stars, also of Nigeria, struggled to scrape a 3-2 win over Port Ford of Egypt. The tournament, which began on the 30th of last month, will come to an end this Friday. We end the news this morning. Thank you so much for your time, as always. My name is Marie Yambo, and my colleague Mike Migwi is already on standby. He'll be bringing you up to speed with matters politics on Eye on Politics.
In a world where temperatures soar and ecosystems falter, the most vulnerable bear the brunt. Among them, women and children who face perilous journey through the changing climate. The main cause of climate change is burning fossil fuels such as coal, oil and gas to produce energy, along with other human activities like cutting down forests and farming. This release sees heat-trapping pollution called greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, warming the planet and destabilizing the climate, especially in the arid and semi-arid areas across the country. The climate change in these areas has significant impacts on both women and children, and some of the effects in children include health risks such as severe droughts, floods, and air pollution, which expose children to malnutrition and diseases. Children often lack access to essential services like clean water, sanitation, and healthcare, and as climate change disrupts ecosystems, children are growing up in an increasingly hazardous world, threatening their health, nutrition, education, and overall development. Inconsistency in climate change has also resulted to major setbacks when it comes to women. For instance, health vulnerability, where pregnant women face extreme catastrophes like exacerbating risks related to maternal and child health. Severe climate changes also affect women's menstrual cycle, which may lead to stress and health concerns. Despite these climate change drawbacks, There are several solutions to protect women and children in the semi-arid and arid areas from the intense impacts of climate change, like developing and implementing policies that consider gender-specific vulnerabilities and needs. Promoting climate change literacy in schools and communities to help empower women to make informed decisions is another step to help protect women and children from severe climate change impacts. The government has put in measures to transition to clean energy sources to reduce air pollution and mitigate climate change, as well as improve access to clean water and sanitation facilities to help curb the issue of water scarcity and poor sanitation during climate changes. This will help promote both women and children well-being. Remember, change can only begin with you and me.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Migu, and this is Eye on Politics. And we get right into it. Before we get into the conversations, I want us to start with a newspaper review, and I will start with what is making headlines on the Daily Nation. Abductions, the weaklings. This is what is splashed on the front page of the Daily Nation as Kenya grapples with increased cases of enforced disappearances. It is emerging that lack of specific law to tackle the crime is worsening an already dire situation. The legal gap exists because Nairobi has yet to ratify the International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearances. That story is told on page 3, 4, and 5 of the Daily Nation. And at a glance, they are saying, one, the legal gap. There is no national legislation that criminalizes or penalizes enforced disappearances, nor effective measures in place to prevent abductions. 2, safe haven for rogue police. That is a question. Nairobi Funeral Home accused of helping rogue security agents to get away with cold-blooded murders. And 3, voice of reason. Senior clerics say the abductions raise serious questions on the government commitment to protect human rights. And 4, independent probe. Activists are now demanding a transparent investigation into all cases of enforced disappearances. That story is told on page 3, 4, and 5 of the Daily Nation. Hospitals start denying teachers and police officers services over unremitted medical premiums. That story is told on page 8 of the Daily Nation. And ODM plots to counter Ruto's Western forays. Raila Odinga's party has planned a major convention in Western Kenya on February 28th aimed at strengthening its grip amid President William Ruto's intensified charm offensive. That story is told on page 7 of the Daily Nation. Let's look at what is making headlines on the front page of the Standard newspaper. It's more or less the same story as the one captured on the Daily Nation. The Standard is saying killer squads are back. This is what is splashed on the front page of the Standard. Rolling back gains. President William Ruto rode to power on the pledge that human rights and justice would be respected. However, 2 years down the line, the killing of abducted protesters shows that a promise was merely words. Extrajudicial killings have returned, and in a puzzling manner. That story is told in detail on page 4 of the Standard newspaper. Payslip politics. In 2027, it'll be all about money. With up to 45% of their earnings taken before they even see their paycheck, workers are left grumbling. That story is told on page 5 of the Standard newspaper. Let's also quickly look at what is making headlines on the front page of the Star newspaper. Uhuru era COVID mess could cost the state 8 billion shillings. Vaccine supplier is demanding 8.4 billion, including for doses that were never delivered. That story is told on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. Auditor General says a review of documents ended with unsatisfactory answers. That story is told on page 4 and 5 of the Star newspaper. PSC flags 2,100 workers' salaries outside payroll. That story is told on page 6. And Nyanza upbeat as region hosts investment summit. That is what is making headlines in our local dailies. And in studio, I'm joined by Wakili George Kivi, who is an advocate of the High Court. Karibu sana Wakili.
Thank you, good morning.
And also Lucy Moria, HSC, who is a political analyst. Thank you for making time.
Good morning.
And Mark Ndingo, who is a governance and political analyst. Asante sana for making time.
Thank you, Mike.
Let's start on what the headlines are talking about. And this is about abductions and the weaklings and the killer squads. The Daily Nation is talking about the weaklings, where Kenya grapples with increased cases of enhanced disappearances, and it's yet to enact or ratify International Convention for the Protection of All Persons from Enforced Disappearances. Wakili, let me start with you. What do you make of these two headlines, killer squads back and the weaklings that have come up in all these matters to do with abduction?
Thank you. First, you pardon my voice today. It's a bit low. Yes, because of some weekend engagements.
No problem.
You know, abduction, forced disappearance, illegal arrests constitute the same thing in terms of terminologies. The law allows arrests because an arrest is subduing a person's person for purposes of presenting the person through due process and a legal process, which is the criminal justice process. But abduction is forced subduing of a person in the person, and then failing to present the person through due process, and without the intention of presenting the person through due process. The reason for that is to subdue the person's voice and the character of the person in terms of his official and personal engagement with the public and personal conduct. Now, ordinarily, it's not supposed to be a pattern, because yes, there could be gangs in society that could abduct people. But when it is repeated, when it is in a certain scale that the society takes cognizance of, it stops being normal crime. It first becomes organized. But then if it's reported and the officials not do anything, the character of abduction then changes. It becomes something official. Official because eventually, and that's the evidence we have, when the abduction became so rampant, the societal decibels complaints went very high. When there was a demonstration or a threat of demonstration of a certain scale of magnitude, they were released by a pronouncement, one, of an officer of government, in fact, a member of cabinet in government, who complained that his own son was abducted. And of course, blamed that on government, the government that he serves. But then the rest were released at that time, yet they had been abducted and were not presented through due process or for due process. Therefore, an abduction will remain first. The character of an abduction will be the person's own will to succumb into that association with whoever is subduing him or her. First, is not sought. Therefore, the person does not give in to his person being subdued. But number two is the information that the person is in custody of officers or whoever it is also not given. And therefore, there is no record at police stations or anywhere else. And lastly, that it then becomes a complaint that the person or the people for the person are complaining that a certain person is not seen and that his behavior, either he goes to school or goes to work or presents himself in society in a certain way, that pattern is different, and therefore the person simply disappears. Because ordinarily a person wakes up to a record and creates a record of sorts. I've woken up home, I've gone to KBC. I've woken up from home, I've gone to work, to school. And the society therefore can take account, those people around you can take account of what has happened. And when a person is abducted, therefore there is no account, and that becomes the character of abduction. So when it comes until the mainstream media captures it, and therefore it represents the voice of the society, there's something wrong. Why would a state, why would a country sponsor abduction or conduct the abduction itself? The reason is this. It means it has become intolerant to the voices or the conduct of the people. Because it also suffices to think that the conduct of the people, if subjected to due process, then the state or whoever is abducting will not get the results, intended results. For instance, jail a person or subdue the person's voice. That's why the state will sponsor abductions. Abduction, therefore, are illegal, number one. And number two, if state-sponsored, then it means it's a threat to the state, or it's an irritant to the state because of the criticism or character of the people as against the state. And we see also the age group that's being abducted. It's not 94 years old, it's not 80 years old, it's not 60 years old. It is the youth, because they have a platform upon which they express their dissatisfaction to society or to government and the officialdom. Yes. And that becomes an irritant. For them, for the society or whoever officials that are beholden to the abductions, to abduct those young people, the youth, it is to send a message, a deterrent message, that if you do this, we will punish you, not through the official circles, but we have a shorter way of doing it, which is to abduct you, now as they say, to kufinye. Yes. Meaning to torture you. Whichever, abduction itself, of course, is torture. But of course, exercising or putting pain in a person's body, that's furtherance of torture. So then, the conduct of the state will be to abduct and subdue a person's person against will, and also to torture the person. That's illegal, and it's intolerant of the people in terms of their voices and conduct.
All right, Lucy, all this, especially what the Standard is seeing here, the President William Ruto wrote to power on the pledge of human rights. However, 2 years down the line, the killing of the abducted protesters shows that promise was merely words. Extrajudicial killings have returned, and in a puzzling manner. What do you make of that?
Actually, they have come back in a way that we've never had before. And like Wakil is saying, the people being abducted is the young people. Why are they being abducted? It's because they are raising their voices on what is affecting their lives. We know they have no jobs. We know they have nothing. They have no hope. They have nothing that they were promised. So they are being abducted. They are being silenced. And this is something that must stop. And what is actually making it even worse, it is when they are abducted and those who have survived, still they are getting threats. They're silenced even more. Don't talk about it. You've seen even those ones who have been released, they're not talking about it. That means there's something. This is something which is planned, and it is more planned, and it is actually been made legal by the fact that you find it's like you go to the mortuary, like the Mlolongo 4. Those guys disappeared sometimes back in November, and it is now clear that they have been in the mortuary tangu December, and they have not been identified. There's nothing that shows they have been there that time. There are no records. So that means the mortuary and the abductors, they have legalized it. You find that someone like Muturi, the son was abducted. He was telling us all the stories, how he conducted, who is who, contacted who is who, until he talked to the president. How about the regular person who doesn't even know who to check with, except crying? These abductions is not just for the youth. When someone is abducted, the whole family is abducted because they suffer equally. Remember the old man who was crying in court? That he went there hoping to see his son. So it is a torture. It is nothing we were promised that we are getting. So it's not just the youth. If someone is abducted from your house, the whole home everyone is abducted. No one has peace, not even the neighbors. Everyone is looking, not even the friends. So this abduction, it is a set to silence Kenyans. Those who talk about it, even now, they're being harassed. Even Muturi, although he's talking it when it is too late, why didn't he talk at that time? Because he was able to have his son released. How about sons of the poor people who do not know who is what in Kenya? So he is talking now. When he's talking now, he's being threatened. He's like, what? We released your son? Why do you have to talk? So if you are silenced because you talk about it, or like us, we are talking about it here, who knows? Maybe next only that maybe our age bracket doesn't allow the abduction, but who knows? We can be abducted. Many people have also disappeared mysteriously. They have been found in lakes, in rivers. They have been found in places that no one knows. And the police has no record. You find someone like the police, the IG, with the DCI guy. They are called even to court and they refuse to go. They don't know. What's the work of DCI? What can happen here today? I'm sure they know we are here. Then how can an abduction, 4 people abducted in Mlolongo, disappear for more than 3 months? And there's nothing, no trace, no one is arrested, and no trace even of their dead bodies. And when they are found in the mortuary, they have not been recorded. And when their families go to those, they are also being harassed. People who have cried, who have been abducted in their minds, in their emotions for all those 3 months, and still they continue suffering, not even to get the bodies of their loved ones to bury them. So this is pure torture. Abduction must stop. Yes.
Mark, I want to get your sentiments on this, and also it raises a question: shouldn't people raise their voices when it comes to matters with governance, accountability? Shouldn't they raise their voices for the fear of being harassed or abducted?
Thank you, Mike. The issue of abductions has been happening, not recent. It was happening some times back, even with the previous government. But there seems to be an increase in the incidences of abduction. And this was as witnessed in the early last year, June, when we had the demonstrations. I think the security forces seemed to be like they were overwhelmed by the number of the youth who came out to demonstrate. And this moved up to a level of the youth asking for accountability. And it started with some abductions from June last year. up to late last year, December, when it became a crisis because if you listen to the human rights groups, the number of people who have been abducted are above 70. And most of them, about more than 20 of them, have not even been traced where they are. Mm-hmm. So I think the government was not well prepared when they took over the government in 2022, because if you look at the promises this current government gave to the people, mm-hmm. about one of them was it was going to do away with the extrajudicial killings. Mm-hmm. And this has not happened. That's why I'm saying it's kind of this current government was not even prepared because when the youth came out and started asking for accountability and went to the streets, the best the government could have done was to do what the youth were asking, because the youth were only asking about issues to do with the governance, which has not been which has not been very well with the current government. Mm-hmm. And I think we need to ask ourselves whether this is the way the country is supposed to be run. Because in democracy, in a democratic country, people are allowed to criticize. People are allowed even to even go further and demonstrate. If you look at even the developed countries, whenever they have demonstrations, you would never find a security officer abducting a demonstrator. But in our country, it has become it's the only way they can they want to stop these people from criticizing the government. Mm-hmm. So I think we need to have a better conversation on how we are going to finish this abduction of people, and it has even gone even further to a situation where even people who are not even because before the people who are being abducted are the people who were criticizing the government through the social media. Mm-hmm. And this has even changed with the current abduction of the recent Mulolongo 4, or when you look at their even the kind of work they do, they are not even involved in the social media. So we wonder why the 4 were abducted only to be killed. So I think this it has reached a point where we need to have the government needs to have a public inquiry, okay, so that we can know how we can handle the situation, mm-hmm, and how we can stop these abductions, mm-hmm, because they don't seem to end, and the government don't even seem to find a solution on how they can handle the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a very short break. We are going to continue with this conversation once we are back, because there are a few questions that are coming up from all this. Don't go too far.
Simfungulie huyu. Ati? Nimesema sifunguliwe huyu. Sasa basi nakupa ruksa. nenda ukaishi huko. Toroka. Rudi mafichoni Kalume, utakuja shikwa. Wewe usinikumbushe Sudi.
Ni nini mpenzi?
Wewe ukitaka kujua mtu mzima na meno 32 nitetee na mpenzi.
Kini?
Hakuna cha lakini. Nilikuwepo, sikuambiwa. Habarisha wanakisiwa wote kwamba yeyote atakayeniletea taarifa za aliko Kalume nitampatia donge nono. Hebu toka nje. Toa ama nikumalize. Simama hapo. Wewe. Nataka uambie hawa watu lile jambo ulikuja kusema hapa jana usiku.
Are you a talented artist? Or are you passionate about a topic you want to discuss? But money can be very hard to find for an upcoming artist. Don't worry, Studio Mashinani has got your back. Sign up on ajira.co.ke to book a session with your music and video producers across the country. Work on your music, jingles, spoken words, and even podcasts to realize your dream. All for free. Studio Mashinani, Radani Talent.
Where is everyone? I am Princess Snow White with 7 dwarfs around me. How come there's only you left? Tell me.
Now I'm telling you something. Hao Junjie quit the team. So, today we have to choose a new captain from you.
We can't win without you. Who am I going to cooperate with?
We can't win even with me.
Actually, I came here today not only to return the computer, but also to say something important. Invite you to work with us. Hey, look, I brought all the material. And this one is our company's profile.
Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. You're watching Eye on Politics. My name is Mike Migwe, and we're having a conversation regarding the headlines on our local dailies. And there's something that Mark said, and I want to throw this to you, Wakili. It's about coming up with a public inquiry to go around or to understand all matters to do with abduction. But the question is it the way out?
No, it's not. It's not, because this is people in offices versus those that are ruled, the ruler and the ruled. So when you do a public inquiry, conduct a public inquiry, it is meant to be independent. But public means it's going to use public resources. Public resources will have to follow through an infrastructure of a developed infrastructure to constitute the inquiry through official circles. So you're basically asking the person you're complaining against to make the inquiry. Number two, inquiries here in this country are not made public. But I want to say this. I don't think the president sits and says, good morning, gentlemen, give me a list of all those people who have insulted me so that we can abduct them. He doesn't say that. He doesn't say, who are those that have put me in a geneza. Yeah. He doesn't say that. He only needs to package himself in a certain way to communicate what needs to be done. If he is tolerant to something and laughs it away, everybody will laugh it away. If he's intolerant to something and is seen to be serious, it communicates a certain policy. So he doesn't obviously drive a Subaru and abduct people, no. There are people there whose role will be to constitute a certain number of people so that then they can follow up on those that are seen to voice themselves with dissatisfaction to the president. Wanasumbua raisi, they're irritating the president, and let's deal with him. How do we deal with him? And therefore we plan how to abduct the person. The president may not know about it. But when he hears about it, he becomes disengaged in terms of the decision-making process because it's already been implemented. So even if he says stop abducting, you know, he won't be there on a day-to-day basis on how the Subaris are moving and who they're abducting. So he himself is disabled. until a day when he communicates that this has to stop with measures. For instance, the IG has to go because there's abduction within your ranks. And therefore, when he goes, it is a communication to the others that this has happened to the person at the top, and it may happen to us. The deterrence here is not the speaking. So you can't say stop abduction and that becomes the constitutes deterrence. It is the action you actually take that communicates robustly and in certain times to whoever is implementing the policy. And what is policy anyway? Policy is expressed. The policy of government is to feed children. But when the president does not put it in writing that children should be fed, but he goes with food and starts feeding the children, then the regional commissioner, the chief, and everybody will start feeding the children because he has expressed it. And therefore, when something happens in society in a certain magnitude as to bring a debate in society, it means the general organization and infrastructure has been put into place. You know, when people get abducted, there's a decision maker and there's an implementer and an executor. It means there are people who start in offices and planned it and sourced the names of the people and decided that we're going to do it. For instance, the abduction of Mturi's son. Obviously, he was identified. People sat in an office and decided they were going to abduct him. But he's a son of the AG. He's a son of a person in offices. Then they say, notwithstanding, we have to pass a message that notwithstanding who your father is, we will still abduct you, so that we can send fears into the hearts, pump fears into the hearts of the youth and those that are being irritant to government. So then you stop. So, of course, one of it is to make sure they stop. But they stop. You know, the character of a person is very simple. When there's a blast somewhere, there's a fire, we hear gunshots, what do? We run for cover. Look for something that protects you. Run away. Because that is fear. But when that instability of that environment is sustained, we stop fearing. What we do is we fight back. Because the mind processes a way of protection, not by running away, because there's no other option, but by coming back at you. So the youth, therefore, may be subdued for some time. That's why there was a gap of time and a lull when their voices were subdued. Yes, we saw it. But a day comes when they say enough is enough. And therefore, they in their mass, because they work with numbers, in their mass, they will demonstrate even more and more. And this time round, of course, with a grievance, a proper grievance, that you're killing us. And it doesn't stop there, because they're not just the youth. Youth are part of society and the children of people. That's why the mothers the other day were demonstrating. When you bring, if I'm a father, you go for my son. Then my wife cries it loudly in the streets. What am I supposed to do to protect them? I will also join. And therefore what you're doing is you are reorganizing the society to a certain anger, to a certain anguish, to a certain complaint that is legitimate. You are legitimizing anger against government. So I think it should be a question of blow hot and cold. Instill fear for deterrence, but then to an extent that the fear holds and the deterrence also holds. When you pass the elasticity of that deterrence such that then people do not care anymore, you are simply radicalizing a society against yourself. So the next thing will happen is people won't fear it. Two things are happening right now. People know for every cycle of 5 years, they have an option. The option is to change or to sustain a leadership. But when you make the distance to the 5 years end far too far, people then are going to say, hang on, it is too far for us to wait. And therefore the rule of law is tested. So the most important thing here, I think, in governance is first start with tolerance of the people and not the other way. It is not the citizens to tolerate you as a leader. It is you to tolerate the citizens whatsoever, because when they were electing you, one, you knew you're getting to that office, and two, you're going to work for them, and three, you're going to protect them. Protection is from government to the people and not the other way. Tolerance must be from government and not from the people. We have no business tolerating a government.
Okay.
It is the government to tolerate us.
All right. There's a conversation that is has taken center stage across the country for the longest time, and we'll continue to keep an eye on it. But now I want us to graduate this conversation to another matter of national interest. It concerns IEBC. Now that today the Supreme Court is expected to give an advisory on whether we shall have new constituencies or by 2027 or not. Actually, IEBC is seeking to know whether the process of boundary delimitation and other electoral processes can be carried out in the absence of commissioners. It's also seeking to know if the constitutional timelines that are envisaged under Article 89.2 and 89.3 as read with this Section 26 of the County Government Acts can be extended, and if so, by whom and under what circumstances. Of course, we are 1 year behind the delimitation limit that was set by roughly March 2024. That was last year. Are we likely to go to elections in next year with the current boundaries? And let me start with you, Lucy. With all this that is going on with IEBC, and now that we are behind schedule when it comes to the limitation of boundaries, we are also behind schedule on some by-elections in some constituencies and wards. Does that bother you?
Thanks, Mike. Yes, it does bother me. Actually, it's just the other day I was talking to somebody. We were wondering what has been happening to the CDF of those counties, I mean those constituencies that the MPs never participated. Where has it been? How was it delivered to the people of, is it Aldera? Where Murkomen was, and where the minister from Oranga, Alice Wahome was. From day one, those constituencies have not been having MPs, and we know the work of an MP. And so those are some of the failures of us not having the IEBC. And for me, with my little mind, that was supposed to be intentional. It has been intentional. It is something to delay things. It is something to delay even the youth to register to vote. It is a form of confusion to Kenyans so that they can talk about things that are not necessary. Even right now, I am very disappointed that there are people talking about extension, having more constituencies when we are already so much suffering. I thought someone who is wise in Kenya, from our leaders in Kenya, would even be proposing we condense some of these constituencies. But
then again, this is in accordance with the Constitution. Every 8 to 12 years, they're supposed to have a delimitation of boundaries.
It is okay, and that does not necessarily mean that it is extension or making them more. They can even make them smaller. So either way. So my expectation, according to the situation where we are as a country right now, the things I would be expecting, it is having them even made smaller. It's even having less counties. We should be having even regions. You know, our president always tells us that we should put our belts tight. So how we are already having a bread-based government. Everyone is on board, everyone is getting salary, everyone is getting that. Now we increase more MPs from 500. We continue having more in our situation. Maybe some other counties will even have, say they want 2 counties. So we might even end up having more than 47 counties. I don't think, as far as management and leadership is concerned, that is poor governance. And I think even the way our youths are retorting, it's not their wish. It is the problems they are going through and the abduction and all the things happening to them. They even learn from our leaders. I'm sure our youth, they are not stupid. There are people, some of them have graduated from universities. These are people as intelligent as us or even more. And they know also, the same way we are thinking, they also know how to analyze things. They know these things are not right. They know we are not going right way as a country. Now, here we are. Let us increase constituencies. Let us increase. And they know they have no jobs. They know they have nothing. And they know they are being abducted. They know these languages, actually, they are getting it from our leaders. When our leader, even the men, if your father in the family starts there and says, mambo ni matatu, and then you analyze the three things. These people, they don't learn from what you tell them, is what they hear, what they see. So they learn from us. When our whole leader stands on a podium in national TVs and talks about mutahara, what are you telling these young people, honestly? So these are some of the things where we are going wrong. We have missed the priorities of where we are supposed to be. The rights of expression, did not just happen. It was fought for many years, and we've gotten it. Okay. Why are you suppressing the people? So, IABC, we want to know, where is the money of those constituencies? Where is that budget? Where has it been going? That's a question. Your pesa ilikuwa inaenda wapi? Because every year there is every MP has, every constituency pesa yake imetengwa aside. And I'm sure when they are doing the finance bills, they did not deduct those monies. Where are they? That's not small money for 3 or 4 constituencies. That those people have not been represented. Did they have someone to man it? Did they have someone to stand in that gap? And was it necessary to get someone who has been elected to represent their people? We know what representation means. To go and oversee for them, represent for them, and then you move them to somewhere else where somebody else could have gone. So it is a mess. We've been messed. We don't want more confusion now. We want them to go straight to the point. Mambo ya boundaries, yes, and that necessarily means that any time we have after 8 years, we have to extend. We can also reduce. So I'm of the opinion that if there's anything to be done on the boundaries of Kenya today, the administrative boundaries, let us reduce them for the sake of the Kenyan people.
Mark, do you think this was deliberate, now that we have failed to meet some of the timelines set out in the Constitution?
Thank you. I think any government in power would want to delay the IBC so that they can have control of the elections. And this is not new to Kenya because even in the previous government, it took so long for the government to constitute the IBC Commission. This has always been a big issue because I don't think our leaders are honest with the delay in constituting the IBC. Because when we did our elections in 2022, and immediately we had the problems with the commissioners, and some of them were pushed to resign, others were left. I think the number of the commissioners who are left were only 3. And according to the Constitution, I think they are not even, they cannot undertake any election. And if you look at the situation at the moment, we have a number of constituencies and wards that need to have their leaders elected. And what is happening is those people are missing their representatives in parliament because they have nowhere to present their grievances. They have nobody to even steer them to development. So I think on the part of the government, yes, I think it is a deliberate attempt to have the process delayed so that they can find a way of doing it in a rush. And you know, when you do something in a rush, even the outcome will be will favor the current government. So the government, I think, should move fast and constitute the selection panel. I think it was sworn in last week.
Yes.
And their work is cut out. And I remember they gave out a time frame of 85 days.
Yes.
And I hope they are going to keep the promise because we need to have the commissioners in office so that they can start registering the new voters, because we have quite a number of youths who have reached the age of 18 years and who need to have their names registered in the voting register. We also need to have the delimitation, which has been delayed, and most of these things, unless we have the commissioners in place in the soonest possible, I think we are going to have issues even with the election of 2027. You remember the Kliegler report advised Kenyans that it is only good to have a commissioner, to have the commissioners in office 2 years, not more than not less than 2 years before the elections, because they need to have time to prepare the register. They need to have time to even strike out the dead voters, and they need also to have time to also to employ and to procure some of the voting materials. So I think we have. There is still time because we are in 2025, there is 2026. So if the government can facilitate the process, we have those officials in office, I think they can even finish up with the delimitation, they can finish up with the by-elections of the constituencies and the wards which have had some which are lacking some the leaders in those areas. And I think it will be even better for the country because, you know, if the process is not fair, even the results will not be fair. And we don't want to have a situation whereby we are going to have results which are going to be rejected by Kenyans, because that can put our country into chaos.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Wakili, there's the issue of timelines, but there's also the things that are supposed to happen. Delimitation of boundaries, which is way behind schedule. Voter registration, institutional reforms. Given the timelines that we have, what will be achieved and what will not be achieved?
We won't achieve much, I can assure you. You know, IBC, the dominant, you know, interaction with us for IBC is elections. Of course, referendum, then delimitation.
Yes.
Those are the dominant things that we see. But you know, IBC is not an independent, okay, it's an independent body, but doesn't work alone. It relies on other institutions to support it. What I know, and the law is present such that it succeeds each other. You know, you can't, the process of delimitation is a presupposition that there's demographic account, meaning there has been census.
Census, yes.
Without census, you have no account of the population. You must take account of the population for you to say, Meru is so highly populated, so we need to divide it in a certain way. Taita, there has been migration from Taita probably to Makueni. And therefore, Taita, the people are fewer, so delineation could be reducing the sub-counties or even the wards, and so on and so forth. So the movement of people in patterns could be disaster, it could be rural-urban migration, it could be urban-rural migration, it could be because, you know, the weather patterns change, so certain areas that were productive are no longer productive. There's a question of urbanization because towns are coming up. If you look at Nairobi, the development of like an ICT city at Konza may move people there, and that's the demographic change. And so on and so forth. The hostility in terms of tribal hostility, ethnic hostilities, where you are threatened as you know, an ethnic group and you move to another place. modernization of places such as, say, Kibera, and therefore it ceases to be a slum, putting in many people, and people move from Kibera to the next town or next city or whatever it is. And today, if you made, for instance, Nakuru the capital city, people will still move there. And there are reasons why people move from one place to another, but also people give birth and more, and society grows. When that happens, you can't do delineation or delimitation without knowing the specifics. And it can't be whether, it is about the people, because you are government giving account and service to the people.
So there's a likelihood that going into 2027, we might use...
Where's the census? Where's the record?
Because
you see, what we do, you start from census. So that we know we can account for the Somalis. It's really an ethnic accounting process. So Somalis are these many, Isli or whatever it is, or South Sea, Luos, Mijikendas, whatever it is. Then you account for allocation of resources, the question of equalization of fund, and many other things. You can't tell me today that 10 years ago what happened to the number of Kikuyus, and now the number now, the Luyas and so on and so forth. And therefore to say you're going to do basically redividing the country into those fiefdoms of administration. You can't do that now, because what are you doing it on what basis? It is about the actual demographics, taking account of the demographics, so that as much as possible there's equity and fairness. So that if people are many, Nairobi is not a very big area, but you can see the very small areas because people are many. Other places, the vast land, but it's because the people there occupy that land, and they're sparsely populated on how they have settled. Others even migrate from Kenya to Tanzania to pasture and back, and so on and so forth. You need to take account of those people too. By the time you finish the census process, of course, the budgetary issue, which we know now, it is not even there. Then the second issue is, then you come to IBC and give them that report for them to implement. Where do they make the decision on? So there's nothing called delimitation right now, because there's no basis for it at all. So even as we discuss this, we discuss it purely, we theorize it, because, there's no basis for delimitation. We should there then we but that the law has from you can do it in 3 days. I don't know. Maybe. But let me come my good friends with of to your advantage if you can. So if your cousin, you are vying for MCA and your cousin is the one who is there, or your friend, or your wife, or whatever it is, or your husband, you have an advantage of access. IBC is like a court. It makes decisions. Whoever says this is the president, that one becomes the president. Kesi, Badai. Whoever says this is a member of parliament, says this. So you need your tribesman, you need your person from to be there. So as IBC is being constituted now, the governors, a person who is friendly, or can be converted to be friendly. So you can manage that person, so that you don't lose the advantages of what IBC can provide. Sometimes it's just the records there, the data that you should be given. Sometimes it is the presiding officers that will be sent to your constituencies and those polling stations, and so on and so forth. You will see therefore the ethnicity that is going to be dominant now. If a Meru is not there, if a Kikuyu is not there, if a Luo is there, it's going to be noticed.
So there's going
to be
politics around it.
You put there and there's no Luo, there's no Luya. It's going to be read differently. The IBC commissioners, you get the point. Of course, there'll be something about ethnic balancing. But the question is which ethnicities to be put. You can't put all ethnic groups. So you put the ones that are friendly. So Mlima should get less because it's unfriendly. The day it becomes friendly, or you put within the Mlima, pick a person who is from Mlima, yes, but he's friendly to you because of the personal relationships with that person. So you can say Mlima I've given you, but that particular person is not is a Mlima but not friendly to Mlima people. He really answers to me. The point is, it's a tool of trade. That's what I'm trying to say. You must manage IBC as a tool of trade to advantage every time, because the intention of every politician is to conquer and dominate through tools that are available to you. Of course, now we have abductions and all. Those are tools. But one of it that is dominant, especially during election, because you know what? You ignore IBC all the time. You ignore it until you are closer to election, and then the election decibels and reorganization starts. We have, what do they call, political parties coming together. When that begins to happen in society, we think IBC. When you start thinking IBC, then you begin to say, who can be a commissioner? That cousin of mine. Okay. So-and-so we went to school together. So-and-so has been in government. So-and-so working with us, can work with us. That's the thinking that is going on right now.
All right.
IBC, if you ignore it, you lose election. If you manage it, you win the election.
You ignore it, you lose election. Let's take a break. Let's take a break and come back to continue with this conversation.
Greetings in the name of the Most High, Jah Rastafari. My good name is Marley Moses, the positive warrior, alongside...
Yes, sir, DJ D-Rage, the baddest. Each and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. on KBC Channel 1 TV.
Tunakuletea the biggest reggae party in 254 in a yard extra. Extra niceness of reggae music.
Extra dose of entertainment.
When the thing is nice,
we have to do it twice.
Got the fear of missing out? Want to keep up with all the latest entertainment news and latest celebrity gossip? From the latest rumors to popping events to the newest fashion trends, here is where you get all the tea or juice when it comes to entertainment, and you get it served on time. All that and so much more on Grapevine every single Monday from 10 p.m. and a rerun every Tuesday from 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1. Remember, if you did not see it on Grapevine, then it most probably never happened.
Mellow. Where is everyone? I am Princess Snow White with 7 dwarfs around me. How come there's only you left? Tell me.
Now I'm telling you something. How Junjie quit the team. So, today we have to choose a new captain from you.
We can't win without you. Who am I going to cooperate with?
We can't win even with me.
Actually, I came here today not only to return the computer, but also to say something important. Invite you to work with us. Hey, look, I brought all the material. And this one is our company's profile.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching Good Morning Kenya. This is Eye on Politics with me, Mike Migwe, and we are talking matters to do with IEBC. And Lucy, with all this, now that the commissioners, the process is underway, do you see it bringing about politics about who is selected to the commissioner's post, the chairman? Do you see it bringing politics, and given the timelines that we have?
Definitely, Mike. Our country is a country of politicking from day 1 January to December 31st. From the day we got and did the election, the following day we get started with politics. In the first place, what has delayed even this, appointing of commissions is because of politics, because everyone wants who is who close to them. If a smaller party gets a commissioner through something, the big parties will say, no, it's our party. And it's not supposed to be like that. If you pick someone who is not known to Kalonzo, who is not going to President Ruto, who is not known to Raila. They are not going to accept. So it will be wastage of time, and it has been like that. Being a tool of trade, like the learned friend has said, that is what it is. So here we have a country which is again struggling. I will not say that, I will not stop saying our economy the way it is, everything should be now looked into like we are serious people who want to save. If there's any reform which was to be made in that IBC, I would think it is about registration, the process of registration. I have always been wondering, why would we have a process of registration? You attain the age of 18, you are eligible to vote according to the law. If that is the thing, and that is the time you get your ID, why don't you get registered when you're acquiring your ID, you become an automatic voter because you are a Kenyan and you are known? This is a way of stealing. This is a way of corruption, of keeping things that we are going to open a gap of 1 month for you to register. Why? And the IBC, it's not like it is intermittent. Not that it comes, not that it is contractual job. We have people who are working there throughout the year. We have people who are earning there. Even if the commissioners are not there, the workers are there. Why is the registration not continuous? Why don't we hear them advertising? People come and register, young people, as soon as you hit 18, register. And why do we have to go register? When we are registering for ID, should be automatic. That is the time we should be having IBC guy there also to issue a card. When do we have to do repetition, duplication of things we should have done before? So this thing is politics. It is a tool of trade, like my friend has said, and we will continue hanging in there, wasting time, and I'm telling you, we are going to achieve very little, even until the end of this year. We are already in February. This year will go, then next year is a year of campaign. Where will we be? And then we start saying acquiring what, and getting campaign materials, getting registration, getting what, until these people get the persons who they want to be there, the person who can do what they want to do. He said, no IBC, you fail? Yes. So it is politics. It has been there, and it will continue. And it is actually around the world, only that it is in ours is in smaller magnitude. People always interfere. But ours, it is really interfered in a very, very bad way. So IBC, we are not going to achieve much, not from what we know. And it has been intentionally delayed.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is your views. Now, Mark, how do you see, how should we go about it? Should we just wait for the commissioners to be put in office and not read politics around it?
Thank you. You know, politics is a way of life, and even in our families, you'll find politics. Husband and wife, they will never agree with everything. So there is no way, and I don't think we can say there is not going to be politics in the process. But I think what can be done is for the leaders, the government and the opposition, to allow the process to move smoothly without any interference. And if we can have a smooth process, I think even the time they have given of 85 days to finish the process, it can be achieved. The only challenge I know is Kenyans being Kenyans, they have a way of not trusting everything. And I'm sure even before the commissioners sit to plan on the coming elections, you'll find somebody running to the courts and challenging the process. And you know, you cannot stop people from challenging the process. So I find some challenges ahead, but our prayer and our request to the government, because the government is the one in power and is the one which can even fast track the process, to allow the selection panel to choose eligible personnel who can oversee the elections, who can oversee the plans of coming elections, so that we can have the team in place as quickly as possible. So what I know is going to happen is that because there are issues to do with the trust with most of Kenyans, mostly the youth and even the elderly Kenyans, we need to maybe give the process some time to finish their process, so that we can have our plans well in place before it is too late.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, we wait to see the direction that the Supreme Court will take, given they are supposed to give an advisory, whether they will resolve the timelines impasse or whether or not they will defer the delimitation process. Let's graduate this conversation to matters regarding SHIF, and MPs did express discontent over the 2.75% deductions on the salaries. They are saying that the deductions are a bit high given the poor service delivery and concurrent or system failures. But also, during the weekend, the Deputy President said that matter will be relooked, especially when it comes to means testing tools for Taifa Care. And but there was no indication or in plan that the plans to review the contribution by salaried Kenyans who continue to be deducted 2.75% of their salary. Let me start with you, Akidi. Do you see this being reviewed downwards, the 2.75%?
Yes. There's something I wanted to say, and you'll excuse me for that.
Okay.
About IBC, then I come to this.
Quickly.
I think the summary here would be this. Why we say IBC is a tool of trade is because there's something called voter suppression. Voter suppression is where you disenfranchise people from accessing either the voting process or completely not registering. When you make IBC timelines available to IBC to conduct what they need to conduct in law, you suppress their ability to extend. Now, if you're in leadership, you won. It means the constant favors you. But if you allow the constant to be variegated by insertion of other people who are anti, for instance, if you are the MCA, you won with 5,000, but 7,000 are against you and they get registered in, you must fight to disenfranchise them, because then they'll vote you out, or they adulterate the equilibrium that brought you into power. So yes, it is important that IBC has enough timelines so that there is equity to put into leadership the people that Kenyans deserve. But now fast forward to the healthcare in this country. I think the healthcare system was tested over time and over time and over time.
Yes.
Maybe it came a time that we needed to improve it because it was working. Not at its best. It could be better, and we were trying to make it better. The problem with this country is one. We are very good with ideas on paper. So we'll make policy and make it look flowery. The second issue is an interface of implementation. At implementation, you need to monetize the process to reach the end goal. Now, you telling me, let's change NHIF to this, is neither here nor. In fact, I get disinterested. The day you tell me let's do it, and therefore you create a budget, I get interested. Because I need to go for seminars, I need to advertise it. So there's use of public funds there. And therefore, you get many people getting involved because there's money. Where there's money is, I mean, if you put food here, cockroaches come, ants come, everybody comes. And when you put money, you really actually put some harvest for people. The end result will be a good social health system, or a health system that is better than the former. The executors are the problem. I don't think the idea was wrong. I think the intention was noble, but then the executors are the problem. One is either they're clueless, but if they have any clue, which I doubt whatsoever, basically their interest is far away from a good result. And when you get the reward you want, shame gets compensated by that reward. So the shame of this, this health system, people are not ashamed, are they? Yeah. They're not. When the protesters went to, to those health facilities and offices to protest, you ought to be ashamed because what is all this? But they resisted it. In fact, they started attempting to abduct them. What's all this? So there's no shame in it. The reward for what you get out of this disorganization is more important, and forget the shame. It can go to hell. Now, you therefore resist the moral aspect for personal gain. I do think the president intended well, because it was supposed to be a campaign result. Whatever would be the result, in fact, was supposed to propel him into an easy campaign, narrative. But now it isn't, because whoever is implementing it is the problem. Now the buck stops with him because he chose the people to implement for him, some of them very clueless in terms of their medical background, the system background, the engineer background. You put technocrats for purposes of getting you the result. You don't put friends. You don't put your campaigners. They will not manage that system well. Now look at the problems we have. Look, one day it's going to work, but certainly not today or tomorrow or the other day. By that time, the society has suffered. Yeah. So even with good intentions and even with good planning, if we don't have executors and we have these theorists who we hear every day and saying, I went to hospital and it worked. Yes, you went to hospital and it worked, but don't go to hospital every day. When you go there and people know you are going there, then definitely it's going to work. Yeah. Because they fear you being there. They don't want to put themselves in a position where they're going to be sacked, or there'll be implications and repercussions. Now, we have pretenders in government, very big pretenders. What needs to, if it was a private sector, it would be working. Definitely it will be working. The principle in law, where we call it the tragedy of commons. Tragedy of commons, where everything for everyone is nothing to anyone. Which means this: that which belongs to government is not mine. It's for us all. Yeah. So where it is destroyed, whether it is sustained, I feel nothing about it. All right? So if a double cabin car has a tire burst, I'll put it there and put stones under it, and it can stay for three years to rot. Or if it was mine, I'm going to change that tire. But I'm ready to destroy that which is for the public, because I don't feel close to it. I feel nothing, because ni kifo cha wengi, ni harusi, it's for everyone. That's the tragedy of commons. So the problem is we are imbued in the suffering of tragedy of commons, because those that are put into public affairs treat that which belongs to government not as a utility for everyone, and therefore a responsibility to the individual who will eventually benefit. They look at it as first an area for benefit. If not, why should I work hard for everyone? Mine is to get the job and work. This whole thing should have been better. In fact, a transition from that which is working to make it even much better should have been much easier. Look at the disorganization that we have. It is because those that are put into offices are not committed to the public good, but it is because it is business as usual. Okay. Now, some MPs have also said that the law on deductions was passed without fully understanding it. Now you wonder, what was the rush? And was it a must that it be implemented at that time when it was implemented, Lucy?
That brings us to another point, the kind of MPs that we elect. If a whole member of parliament who is going to represent you is like a doctor coming and starts operating you without even knowing what your disease is or your symptom or what he's looking for, It's unfortunate that we can hear that from our member of parliament that we didn't really understand it. So back to you, voters, if you're a member of parliament, go to parliament and they do not understand motions before they pass or anything before they do it. It's very unfortunate. Look for people who understand. Also, we have a problem as a society. I don't think they don't understand. Most of them don't, but there are those who understand. If they understand, why did they understand the language of kicking Gachagua? That one was very fast. That one happened very fast in both houses of law. It really did happen. So the question of enjoying Kenyans that they did not understand, this is messing up with our brains. The wanachezea wa Kenya. So walielewa. But you remember, even them, it's not them who vote. They vote as a result of kicks. Can you imagine a member of parliament being bribed with 100,000, 50,000, 10,000 to vote against something that you know this is actually not right for the people? So when they did that, it was again intentional for our people to suffer and for those people to eat kickbacks.
Was it a must that it be passed at that time?
It wasn't. It needed a lot of participation even with the people, for people to understand. Even the people who are working in the ministry, they do not understand. There's nothing, no one was meant to understand. But the problem again is those people who passed it when it was not ready, when people are not consulted. It's again the question of governance, bad governance. People, you see even now the way money is being dished everywhere. This is people's money being dished. Riona Kindiki, what he has been doing. My own county is Isiolo. We have a problem now. People are fighting one another as a result of being invited to the deputy residents just to get handouts. They go there without an agenda. Someone told me when they go there, he had to excuse himself anaambiwa and then muandike agenda. How do you come all the way from Isiolo, coming, peoples in buses, thousands of you, coming to sit down to wait for 5,000 there, and then money, Kenyan people's money is given to you. For what reason? What agenda? What do you have for the people of Isiolo and any other Isiolo? So this dishing of money is the result of, that's why we are having people saying we did not understand it, but we passed it anyway. It's bribing. You are saying it is okay. You see?
Mark, from your standpoint, which is the best option? Is it doing away with SHIF or with looking at the inefficacies that is displaying, or reverting back to NHIF?
Maybe before I go to the options available, I think I need to say something concerning the SHA. We are being embarrassed by the MPs, for one, because not long when the SHA was lodged, all of them were supporting the SHA, the thing, and all of a sudden we've had them starting to talk about SHA having issues. So we wonder. At what point did SHA become a thing with issues? It's true, SHA has some operational failures. The idea could have been good, but I think the undoing of our things, I think, is much to do with the way we rush things, as you have put it. We tend to have an idea, and we don't want to follow the right channels so that we can reach to the right position of implementing it. Because SHA was not even put to the right and to full public participation. They could have given the public enough time to give their views about it. But what happened? They rushed the thing. They went to some few people who approved something they didn't know. Something else I think they should have done is they should have even if the idea was good, they should have done it in phases. They could have maybe picked a county like Nairobi, they start and monitor the way it was being implemented, so that they can now move to other counties before they spread it to the whole country.
So according to you, the implementation would have been in phases?
Yeah, the implementation would have been in phases so that we can get to know these operational failures, where they are coming from. Then it could have gone to other counties in phases. And I'm sure the idea could have been good, but you know, if you miss you miss some of the processes, you don't put it to the public to get their views, you'll end up getting something which is going to be rejected, something which is going to have issues. So I think the implementation was rushed, and they need to think either to go back to the NHIF system as they find a way of improving the system, because we have a big issue with the system, the way the system is operating. Because even the registration itself, once you want to register with the SHA, it takes a lot of time. And that time maybe you have an emergency of somebody you want to pay for hospital bills. So I think what they can do now, since they have the system implemented, they should look at some of those failures, then they can improve on that. They give it some time to monitor. Eventually, I'm sure it's going to give us something which is going to be workable to everybody.
Lucy.
Let me say something before I forget. Actually, I wanted to equate the SHA with the police uniform, which was changed some years back. What was wrong with the color of the police? Just the color. That makes you change. Yes. What did it add to the value of our police people? Is it more discipline, or is it knowing how to harass the youth more? I don't know. So I don't think SHA was necessary, because if there's something else wrong, if you have a house which is leaking, you have the option of repairing that house. So if there was anything wrong with NHIF, we would have worked with what we have. Because when you introduce something new, you come and burn the whole house because it was leaking. Gharama ni mingi. So if there was anything wrong with NHIF, first of all, we did not need to change even the name, because it is providing the same services. What we would have done as a country, that's why we have the ministers, they can adjust, they can amend the policies, not just dissolving everything. Because when you start something afresh, it involves training people. That is again spending people's money. That brings confusion. That's why you find that the people I was talking about the other time, like the people who go through dialysis, honestly, I have patients that I know from my constituency, from my county, and they do dialysis twice a week. You can imagine the cost of doing dialysis a week, it is 9,500. So this person has been used to going to the general hospital with the NHIF card, is a retired old person, and you go there now, you can't get it because the systems are not working. Why did we have to change? Even when you're feeding a young kid, you don't start them by forcing them ugali. You win them slowly until they get used to it. So this SHA is a scam. It should stop. Let us go back to where we were. If there is anything wrong with NHIF, let us amend anything.
30 seconds, Wakili. Closing remarks.
Two things. For sure, I think the justification was it was a political promise and it had to be delivered somehow. But I do think that the implementation is the problem. The intention have been noble. But a judge once told me, you know, when you're a farmer, you've planted maize or corn. Some mice come from the forest to come and eat your corn and get it from the soil. You don't burn a whole forest to kill one mouse. What you do is you look for it, you look for traps and trap it. So the overhaul may have been a political, intention. But the fact remains that you cannot burn a whole forest to kill the mouse.
All right.
So we are winding up?
Yes.
So for me, what I'm going to say, I am going to comment on the abductions. As a parent, it affects me also, and it affected people. So I would ask the state machinery to stop killing the young people of our country, to start getting them, abducting them, and to stop harassing those who are speaking about it, the Muturis, the Natebeas, the Jasper, the lady from Kenyatta Hospital. Stop harassing them. And
Mark.
stop also harassing the survivors of.
All right.
Yes.
Mine for sure, I think the government should revert to the NHIF as they fix the failures with SHA and then come up with something which is going to be acceptable to everybody.
Okay, Mark Dengo, governance political analyst, and also George Kithi, advocate of the High Court, and Lucy Moore joining us here on Good Morning Kenya on matters to do with Eye on Politics. This is where we end this conversation. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Mark. Maybe Vivian Ndegwa is up next. Don't go too far.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Ndio at least ndio nikiona vizuri. Hapa inaona.
Mtoto akililia wembe sharti ainame.
Hawa ni kina nani tujuane?
Huyu sasa ndio Mbuta Lukaso.
Nilikuwa na daktari hapa amenitimbu.
Daktari gani huyo?
Mkaka amenikanda na maji moto.
Nisitaka ndio mchezo. Huwezi kwenda hata pole pole.
Unataka kukaa na mimi ukifanya nini hapa? Unaona kitini ya mtu mmoja.
Wewe usinichuje hapa na pewe ni mtumwa.
Mimi ni mtumwa.
Usishikishie jaba mamako tafadhali.
Born on 15 September 1966 in Busia, Dr. Paul Etoma went to school in Khalsa Primary School in Nairobi in 1974, where he sat for his Certificate of Primary Education examination in 1980. He transitioned to Eastleigh High School for O-levels from 1981 to 1984 and later joined Nairobi School for A-levels, finishing in 1986. He studied at the University of Nairobi, where he attained an undergraduate degree of Bachelor of Veterinary Medicine and Masters in Business Administration. After graduation, he worked as a waiter at a popular fast food restaurant in Nairobi. In 1992, he took a second job at Agromed Limited, who were then agents for Bayer, a multinational pharmaceutical company. His 2-year stint would later pave way for him in 1994 to join the veterinary pharmaceutical department of Bayer AG as a sales representative. He gradually rose through the ranks and relocated to South Africa in 2000, where he was in charge of business development for East and Central Africa for Bayer. In 2003, he came back to Kenya to set up a chemicals distribution company called Mwanga Agrovet. He doubled as a keg distributor in Nyanza and Western Region for Kenya Breweries Limited through his Kisumu-based company called Nyando Limited. In 2007, he won the Funyula parliamentary seat. The ensuing civil strife would lead to post-election violence that necessitated the formation of a coalition government between the warring political forces. In 2008, he joined the cabinet as Minister for Fisheries Development. He then served as the Minister for Sports and Youth Affairs. He oversaw the formulation of the Sports Bill, now an Act of Parliament, that led to the establishment of the Sports Fund. While in charge of the ministry, he oversaw the ratification of the African Youth Charter, the first legal framework in favor of youth development. He then served as the chairman of the Privatization Commission. In 2017, he participated in the Busia gubernatorial race on an ODM ticket, but lost to Sospita Ojamong. In 2022, he won the Busia gubernatorial race. He is currently serving as Busia Governor. Jackie Wambiru, The Cabinet.
And good morning, Kenya. Gets to continue. My name is Vivian Ndegwa, and today on Family Check, we will be looking at emotional intelligence. Now, there are different or several intelligences. There's the intellectual, that is intelligence rather, intelligence quotient, which is normally known as IQ. There's the emotional quotient. There is the social quotient as well as adversity quotient. But today, we're going to be majoring or looking into emotional intelligence or emotional quotient. We want to know what exactly does that mean and how does that look like? When do we say that someone is emotionally intelligent? And joining me for that conversation is none other than Pastor Pearl Blessing. She is the director, Star with Pearl. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Vivian.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm good.
All right. Let's begin with a definition of emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
What is it?
Okay. Emotional intelligence is the ability to be aware of your own emotions and those people around you, and be able to manage and regulate so that you can be able to, it becomes easy for you to know the environment. Yes, that's what it is. Yeah.
Why is it important, you know, for one to be emotionally intelligent, you know, even in the workplaces and in one's personal life?
If you are not emotionally intelligent, as you have said, we have the intelligent conscious and emotional and the social. But even if you were intelligent conscious, and you have the highest ability to apply in life whatever you have learned, and you lack the emotional intelligence, you find that you may close doors and even lose a lot of opportunities because your emotions are very key. How you are able to handle things when you are attacked, when things come around you, how you manage them is what makes you emotionally intelligent. And that's why you find there are people who are highly emotionally intelligent, others low, and others who are intelligent. So it is important to manage it, to be intelligent emotionally, because that's why you find, like, for example, some of the things that cause people lose opportunity are dishonor. And whenever you find there's dishonor to God, to men, and also to principles. There are things that when you dishonor them, automatically you lose it. And you find it comes from your emotions. So your emotions are your feelings That's where your heart, your mind, and your thoughts lie. So if you are not able to manage it, you become a very weak person. However strong or great you may be, you may find people who are very big in society, and they are very well learned. But when something happens, the way they break out and speak, they lose it, and they may close doors. So it's very important to be able to manage, and of course be self-aware of it. Yes.
Intelligence, something that one can develop with time. Is it something that one can, or is it inborn?
You cannot say it's inborn. There are those who are inborn, but there are things that you have to develop personally, because as you become in the workplace, in family, in personal life or professional, all that, if you have to manage what you are doing. It is important. So I usually say that you can even start to develop that. One way I can say is a way of developing. You may start journaling your behavior, and call yourself to check, and be able to judge yourself, be able to rebuke yourself, and even reward yourself. I say you journal, I say this week I want to look at this area how I'm behaving, and you journal how weak I am, how strong I am, and you journal. At the end of the week, you can be able to, if I've made it, I reward myself. If I've failed, I can rebuke myself. You see, that's why you become very, very aware that I need to change, because we are a weakness. And usually, some of the weaknesses of the emotion, they usually say that it's a child that was wounded and never healed. Maybe during your childhood you were wounded, and you carry that pain into all the kind of, anything that happens, you are stirred up into bitterness, and you are not able to control it because of something that happened when at your childhood. So that child that was wounded can come to this a level this time, and you find you are still a child. But you now start to realize that I need to regulate myself. I need to examine. I need to be self-aware. You start journaling. You take a week, you take a month, and look at the end of it, you see, how have I improved? Because for you to be able to manage the people around you, you start with yourself. Yeah. So you'll be able, let's say a workplace, and you are the leader, and you are not emotionally intelligent. And there are people who are better than you around you. They look at you and see you, though you are their boss, but you look stupid because the things that you do. So it is about managing it and accepting. It starts with accepting there's a weakness. I need to be self-aware. I need to regulate. I need to work on this and become a better person and become a great leader.
Yes. How does it impact decision making?
Yeah, decision making, it will impact, because let's say there are things that you are supposed to make a decision, and maybe you left the house when you are hurt by someone. You know, you usually say that you defile others when you are bitter and angry, you call defiling people. Maybe you get to the lift, someone talks to you and you hurt them, they also carry that to others. So when you come to the table, and maybe your decision you have to make as maybe a leader or a boss in the office, whatever has happened to you, if you don't pause and think through, you'll make a wrong decision, because you'll be whatever is happening in your emotions will affect this, because within your mind, your heart, and your soul. Yes.
How do you measure someone's emotional intelligence?
The way you can, let's say you want to measure to know whether you are good or bad. There are questions that you can ask yourself.
Yeah, that's for yourself.
For yourself.
Yeah.
You write questions for yourself, and you are able to answer without. Utafanya Kenya, you are yourself, and you realize that I have a weakness now. I want to see in this area, how am I? You ask your question and you mark whether it's wrong. If 5 of them you get 3, you're emotional intelligent. But if 4 of them you are wrong, you are weak. So you need to work on it. Yes.
Are you able to tell someone else's emotional intelligence? Like, can I be, like the way we're communicating right now, can I tell if you're intelligent rather, or not? Is it something that one can measure someone else's?
The way to measure is being an active listener. Sometimes when things happen, like let's say there's an active accusation against you, and people who are acting against you, the best thing, don't attack them. Be an active listener. So when they are talking too much, you are taking out their saying, and you're even repeating what they are saying and nodding. You are absorbing it, and you are also trying to check how can I do better what they are saying? Where are they accusing me wrong? And you can be able to say whether they are right or wrong, whether they are the one who have a weakness or you. Because when you are active listener, you look at the great leaders, what they do, they don't talk much. They listen a lot. Because when I listen to you more, you will tell me what I need to know.
Yeah.
And I will also be able to draw from you what I didn't know, what you say about me, and what you think about me. And through that, I can work myself better.
Yeah.
And also you, when you are talking, by looking at you, when I'm looking at you, even if you try to show me you are very good to me, by body language, you know, there's verbal and non-verbal language. By looking at you, the way you behave, even if you are telling me something good, I can tell you are lying. If I'm active listening and looking at you, I can be able to tell this person is lying. And maybe because of what they have gone through. So it is good also to understand the people around you, what they go through. That's what we call empathy. Empathy is when you try to wear someone's shoes. Maybe someone, you are a senior and they have juniors. And the juniors are going through something in their life. And usually say that if you have staff, have a close relationship with them, know what they go through in our personal life. So you can be able to tell, the way this one person is behaving is because of what they are going through. And maybe you can be able to look for a way of taking them through. And by the end of it, you become, let's say you look, there's this office where people are not motivated, either financially or even socially. You find that their productivity is very low. But when they come and realize that we need to motivate our workers, maybe we need not give them money, but the way you talk to them, the way you handle their situation, how you want to know what they are going through, they become very productive. Because that's how human are. Yeah, when you appreciate someone, they give you all. Even God.
Yeah.
When you do a Thanksgiving offering, God gives you, because you show him, you recognize him. Yeah, so just like that.
Yeah. Is there a relationship between emotional intelligence and mental wellness? What is the relationship between these two?
Yeah, emotional intelligence. In fact, when we were looking at this topic, we were looking at more of mental health. You know, mental health people, they look like only psychological problems only. No. It starts all with emotions, because like we usually say that your eye is the gateway to your heart, your ear is the gateway to your heart, and even your hands. So whatever you store in your heart, that's when you speak. It is the abundance of the heart that the mouth will speak. Because maybe you have gone through pain.
Yeah.
When you speak, you release pain. So your mental health and the mental wellness will start from your heart and your emotions and your thoughts. That's what will tell us how you are. However, you may try to show us you are mentally well, the way you speak and the way you behave says everything about you. As I've said, some are wounded children.
Yeah.
So you need, I don't know whether someone should think of thinking that maybe I go back to my mother, so maybe born again a better person. I don't know how to do it. But if you are wounded as a child, accept and go back to it. Look at what happened at that childhood. Overcome it, because you have to live. And there's tomorrow. Because if you continue working on what happened when you are a child, you will never get where you are going. Yes.
Yeah, maybe, you know, what's the best way for one to manage emotions? You know, we are working towards being emotionally intelligent people. So how do you go about dealing with emotions that are extreme? For example, you're extremely frustrated, or you're extremely angered by something, you know, those emotions that are negative, like emotions of anger, frustrations, you know, what's the best way to deal with it, you know, as an emotionally intelligent person?
One thing, as we said the other day, we have weaknesses and strengths, and also in personal life we have something like hope and risk, personal risk and hopes. So there are things that maybe you want to achieve, you are not achieve. You want to become a better person. You had goals and you look at them, you cannot be able to achieve them, or someone has hurt you. And I usually say that, whatever you make me feel. My life is my government. It's my state. It's me who says who comes and who goes out.
I love that. My life is my government. I love that statement.
It is my state. So this is, I want to say who comes in, who goes out. So I can decide to lock you out. If you find someone is causing you to be emotionally weak, those people, you should close them out of your life. You don't hate them, but you can close them out by saying that from this time, this person, I don't need them in my life. Because the more you try to bring them close, as you are trying to manage them, you are becoming weaker and weaker. So it is you to make a decision. That's why you usually say, even your phone, it is yours. You choose which to pick and not to pick. Because if I look, me personally, this is what I do. If you send me a text, and I see the beginning of the text, I see something negative, I tell you not read it. I guard my heart. So I'll delete it because I don't want you to defile me. I mean, maybe I'm preparing to go for a meeting that I want to make money. Then when you crash me, I'll get there confused. Then I'll lose on the day. I allowed you. So you close. You can close. Choose who comes in and who goes out. Yes. Don't be too good to people. People are not good as such. They are good. It's good to be good to people, but you also remember, this is you. You start, even the Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So you have to start with yourself. So if you don't guard yourself and try to start making others happy, you may destroy. And this is you now. It starts with you. Yes, yes. You have to guard.
Yeah. So being an emotionally intelligent person also requires you to just check on what you're allowing to come in, you know, in terms of who you're allowing into your life also, what you're allowing to stress you, you know?
Yeah, some things are not important at all. You can say no to them. Yes. It doesn't matter who does it and however close they are to you. If they are going to crush you and cause you not to achieve where you are going, you can manage that. You don't need to tell them no, but you close. Yes. Say this way no. Yeah, that's why we are saying you manage your own emotions and those around you
as
so they become secondary.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have to guard yourself first. That's why we say guard your heart than you guard anything. It's the source of your life. So that what you have deposited in myself is what I'll give out. You see. So if I destroy myself while making others, where am I going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does it influence one's ability to communicate effectively?
Come again, that question.
How does, you know, emotional intelligence influence one's ability to communicate? Yeah, effectively.
Effectively, yes. That's where there is self-regulation. Yeah, effective communication comes out of when you are started by making sure you are peace. So what you give out, communicating is giving what you have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I speak, you can tell this person has peace or has no peace. Whether you are listening, you can even hear a teacher, you can hear a preacher preaching, and you can feel this person just expressing their bitterness to us. Though there is a message they are passing, but you can hear, yeah, this person is surely bitter, and they're trying. So to be effective communicator, you need to pause, and sometimes take time before you release what you want to release. Look at it. Am I blessing people? What am I giving out? Because what goes out cannot come in, just like pouring out down water. You can never pick it. So before you give it out, can you just sit down and see, am I going to bless people? Am I going to touch lives? Am I going to transform someone? Because every time you speak, it is good that you transform someone's life. Let's say like this morning, there's someone who was weak emotionally, and they are looking at, where can I sit down and journal and watch myself and be able to see, what can I do better? How can I become better? Because you are bitter with life, but that is you. Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Even let's say you have children, you may stress yourself about a lot of things, but those children will come at a time that they will become big, and they have their own families. So you still have a life to live. So your emotions is your wealth, very much, and that's where your confidence comes from. Without emotional intelligence, your confidence is very weak. And without confidence, you cannot give out anything.
Yeah.
You just pour out bitterness to people. But if there is potential, as you said the other day, in a man there is a king that rules and a boy that plays. So both of them is very important. If he never played, he will not rule. He's try to play and there is no play. And the girl the same way.
Yeah.
So it is good that if from childhood, and they usually say that, okay, like nowadays you look at people are looking at like girl child, the boy child, or the youth who are already hurt and wounded. But if we can start looking at these children at the teen level, a 9-year-old, 8-year-old, start taking the child, how can you become confident? How can you become a better person tomorrow? Because of what they go through their families and all that is happening, you find that at the age 12 to 24, there's a lot of drug addiction. People have gone, early pregnancies are coming. So some of these early pregnancies, what is happening to them is that not because they want to go to it, but there is a vacuum. She's trying to fill in some love that she doesn't find at home. Though she finds in a wrong place, becomes pregnant, and
Yeah.
she's crushed, you
Yeah.
see. But if the self-awareness and the training of self-awareness and this intelligence will come at the age of 7, 8, 9, this is the making of a person. By the time they get 12, they are becoming adults. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Actually, now, just to pick from that, what's the best way, to build an emotionally intelligent, human being? I'm looking at it from the point of there's a mother who's watching, there's a father who's watching right now, or a guardian who's watching, and they would love to bring up an emotionally intelligent person. How do you start shaping that from that very young age?
At that young age, what I would say is that sometimes you find even the way you talk to your house, how you discuss teachers in the house. This child may hate the teacher, may dishonor the house girl, but if there'll be a good communication about all the people around them, because as a mother, I will leave the house and I will leave the child in the house of the house help. At school, they have more time with the teacher. So if you teach this child to honor everybody around them, and not to dishonor anyone, they will become emotionally intelligent. Because some of the things is that you go and speak against the teacher, then the teacher will speak against you in the presence of the child. As she doesn't want, or he doesn't want the mother to be spoken against, then they will become weak emotionally. They feel that you dishonored my mother. They become bitter. And that bitterness may be carried to the adulthood, you see. So these things should start as early. Also, the way you talk to them. Let me, that day when we were talking about, I said about this. Let me, for example, talk about, I'm not about our community, but let me just give an example. An Indian will wake up in the morning with the son when they close school. They open the shop together. The boy is selling and the father is taking money. But some of our children, they watch movies until 2 a.m. And what's the movie about? Terror movies.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, what you see, you deposit in your heart. Why is it taking that terror? Yeah, and you allow them to watch everything they want. You know what they see and what they hear. It is deposited in their heart, and it makes them. So what kind of person are you building? Can you make them effective, even when they close schools? Let them be effective. Why should someone not sleep? 2 a.m., 3 a.m., they are watching. And you are seated there. You can't even control them. I'm not saying we are that weak. I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
Also, the way you call them. Let's say you address her, she does something bad, say, you behave like your father. Or automatically that has sunk in that child. A child is just like a sponge. Whatever you say, they suck. They suck it. You behave like your mother. You are a dog. It's not behaving like a dog. You know you are what's the instrument of creation, you said.
Yeah.
So you create a dog in that child. Then she starts behaving like a dog and you say, my child, my child. You create it. Yeah. And you are a mother. You see? So whatever you say, what's our instrument of creation? What we are saying and what we are doing. It is building them from zero. They hear. You can remember something that happened in 5 years, and you have not forgotten.
Yeah.
It's like a sponge. You took it in, and then you look at life and you remember those things. You remember even dreams you saw when you were a child. Those things are there. That's what builds you. So for us to create a society that's going to be very intelligent,
emotionally.
Even when let's say, for example, we saw what the Gen Zs were doing. They were bitter. But that bitterness, you look at it, it has a root from somewhere. It's something that they are not saying. Even if there's something at the table, what is happening in the government. But that child is very bitter. There's a bitterness that it doesn't care even about death. What is it? There's something that children have lacked. So there's that kind of love we should try to nurture. And the relation between the teachers, the nannies, and the parents is very important. It's very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, as we almost come to a close, when you talk about emotional intelligence, there are several pillars to it. You've touched on some of them. There's the self-awareness, there's self-management, there's social awareness or social skills, there's empathy, and then there's also relationship management. All this now put together forms the emotional intelligence. Maybe if we can just touch on each of these very quickly. When you talk about self-awareness, what are we looking at?
That is when you sit down and look at yourself.
Yeah, you evaluate yourself.
Evaluate yourself, and like you said, journal. Evaluate yourself, award yourself, rebuke yourself, and look, how can I become better? Being very true about yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's self-awareness. Self-management?
When you have become aware, now you start managing. This is where I'm weak. I need to manage this area. I need to change this place. I know to address people. I need how to handle people around me. That's how you are managing now in all areas of life. Whether you're managing your finance, you're managing or whatever it also involves the emotions. Yes. But I don't know whether you know there are people when they are very bitter and they are stressed, they shop a lot. Yeah, not because they want to shop, they just find that shopping just like really, or they talk on phone. Just make sure the airtime is over. Just you now manage yourself. This is not going to give you at the end of the airtime. You still need airtime to talk because you are used to, because you are stressed. You better manage yourself. Yes.
Okay. Social awareness.
Social awareness personally. There's personal and your social life. There are people who don't have a social life because they have become bitter. The things have happened. It's like you don't have friends. Let me tell you, we are social beings. It's a must. You should have friends, but also look at what friends you have. What's their value around you? There are people who just come into your life and they end up in destroying you. There are those who are supposed to be there. Everybody is supposed to be friendly to everyone. But remember, there is a inner circle. And there is the holy of holies of your life and the outer court. So you need to guard and know. As much as you become social, who comes near you and who should be the outer court.
Yeah. And they say that your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
So no man is really an island. You need to have...
You must have people around. Let me tell you, even if you are given all the money and all currencies and there were no people, you'll die. You need to sell to people. If you sell, you need to talk to people. You are a speaker. Without people, men are wealth, and you need them at all levels. But remember, there are those around, those are out, and those are you have to classify them socially. How much social are you? So you don't open your door to even the enemies into your bedroom. Yes, you have to guard that.
Okay, empathy. Let's look at empathy.
Yeah, empathy is when you realize that the people around you have emotions like you. They go through things like you are journaling yours. Just imagine, I've journaled mine. Can I just think like mine is like yours? When I find you are going through something, can I be able to wear your shoes and be able to help you? That's like we are able to communicate with people effectively by looking at them and knowing what they are going through. Yeah, that's the empathy.
And the final one is relationship management.
Yeah, so you know, however much you may become social, you may manage yourself, relationship is wealth. It's a currency it buys. There are things that you can buy by money, that you can buy by relationship. Maybe someone can just start to bless you with something, or through that relationship that you have, you can go and find someone who knows you, and you find the door that you are looking for. Someone can just say, if you know this person, just come in. You see, relationship is a currency it can buy. So it is very important to guard your relationship and continue increasing them, but also guard so you don't bring in the wrong ones.
All right. And this is where we come to a conclusion of this conversation that we are having today on emotional intelligence. I will allow you to give us your last remarks.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. We appreciate the time that we have shared. And we know that whatever we are said about emotional intelligence, you're going to work on yourself, especially that place of trying to journal and look at what you go through and what you have been doing, and be able now to be able to, especially the rewarding part. Yeah, as you take yourself out. It's not a must to be taken out. You can take yourself out and tell Penina, thank you for the time and all that. And also when the things are wrong, rebuke yourself and correct. That's my partition. Thank you.
Yeah, just be able to be self-aware.
Yeah, self-aware.
Yeah, look into yourself.
Yes. And take care of yourself, of course.
All right. Thank you so much, Pal, for joining us for this conversation.
Thank you.
This is where we end this conversation, but this is not the end of Good Morning Kenya for today. We still have more in store for you. Stay tuned, because when we come back, we'll be looking at cybersecurity and building resilience in cybersecurity.
Wellness is important in our daily lives, so that instead of just surviving, we should be thriving.
Ways to prevent a stroke or heart attack is for you to know what conditions you have by regular checkup. People don't know they have hypertension. They don't know they have diabetes.
I was pre-diabetic. I was afraid of getting lifestyle diseases
because I come from a family that has lifestyle diseases.
How do you know if your cough is due to a serious condition? We'll have some answers. Stay well and strive to make every day a healthy day.
Got the fear of missing out? Want to keep up with all the latest entertainment news and latest celebrity gossip? From the latest rumors to popping events to the newest fashion trends, here is where you get all the tea or juice when it comes to entertainment, and you get it served on time. All that and so much more on Grapevine every single Monday from 10 p.m. and a rerun every Tuesday from 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1. Remember, if you did not see it on Grapevine, then it most probably never happened.
Melo!
Where is everyone? I am Princess Snow White with 7 dwarfs around me. How come there's only you left? Tell me.
Now I'm telling you something. Hajunje quit the team. So, today we have to choose a new captain from you.
We can't win without you. Who am I going to cooperate with?
We can't win even with me. Actually, I came here today not only to return the computer, but also to say something important. Invite you to work with us. Hey look, I brought all the material. And this one is our company's profile.
And we are back. Now, as I had mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, we are looking into cybersecurity. Our topic of conversation is building resilience in cybersecurity. And with me in our studio right now, on my immediate right, we have Danstan Akwiri. He is the Vice President, CyberPro Global. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
All right, and on my far right, we have Tyson Gitonga, who is a Business Development Manager. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show today as we just shed light on building resilience in cybersecurity. If we can just begin with defining what cybersecurity resilience is. Let's start with you, Akwiri.
Thank you. Thank you, Vivian, again for having me on the show. So there is a difference between cybersecurity protection and cyber resilience. So cyber resilience is the ability to be able to not only prepare for and respond to cyber attacks, but at the same time maintain business continuity. Yeah, which is very key and very essential because now, unlike cybersecurity protection, which is basically being able to defend the data and IT infrastructure. Yeah, so cyber resilience means that you have to be able to prepare and respond for these attacks, just to make sure that you maintain business continuity. Yeah. Yes.
All right, and just from that definition, unless you want to add on to something, maybe what are the key components of a resilient cyber security strategy?
Okay, thank you. Probably I'd start with a little bit add up on the definition. Cyber security in terms of resilience is the ability of a company to anticipate, withstand, recover from, and adapt from cyber threats. Now, the key, the old school prevention is they prevent cyber threats. But now in resilience, is you're able to do that while still continuing with your core business. So that's it.
Yeah. So what's the key components in building that resilience?
Some of the key components in building resilience is would look at
now if I may step in, when you look at the key components to building cybersecurity resilience in an IT environment setup, is the human training. all right, which is very essential. You look at the way categorization of attacks based on cybersecurity incidents and attacks, you will find that the human beings are the mostly targeted because they are very critical in the supply chain of cybersecurity. So one factor that I would really like to emphasize on is training on the human capacity. Human capacity is very essential because now as human beings, when you have skilled labor in any organization, it becomes very easy to be able to handle those types of attacks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe back to you, Tyson.
Yes, yes.
What are some of the common threats that are there, you know, that businesses and organizations can look out for?
Some of the threats are, you look at ransomware, you'll also phishing threats, and also system breaches. Those are the key issues, key areas that cyber threats come into place. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, with the threats that you've just mentioned, maybe what are steps that organizations should take to enhance, you know, their resilience to and their resilience against these threats?
Okay, that is a very good question. Now, in terms of steps, you look at cybersecurity as an all-inclusive kind of operation. It is not just a one-man's show or a one-man's job. It's all-inclusive, and that means that, you know, from if you have networks at your place, if you have databases, if you have servers, you have to look for a way to be able to have an all-inclusivity protection. And that is one principle in cybersecurity architecture we call defense in depth. And that means not only a network. For networks, let's say you have a firewall. For servers, you have to make sure that the configurations are up to date and well configured. For databases, you have to make sure that you have tools to protect the same. And then when it comes again to human, you have to be making sure that you keep on training them and updating them on the knowledge and the skills required to be able to, you know, protect themselves and make sure that we have business continuity. And that is what we are trying to focus more on in terms of a company. And that is what we do as CyberPro Global.
Yeah. And just as a business development manager, like what would you advise, you know, businesses, you know, in terms of them ensuring that they are secure or resilient? Let me use the word resilient, that they are resilient in the matter we're talking about.
Okay, for businesses, I'd probably give a four-tier approach. The first is enhanced awareness. When your employees are aware of the risks that they face, they are able to detect and prevent the same. The second one is improved incidents reports. You find that staff can act swiftly and correctly during cyber threats when they are aware of what is happening. There is also reduced human errors. You will find out that the biggest threat to an institution in terms of security and focusing on cybersecurity is the human error, as my colleague had said. When you're able to capacity build your employees all rounded, and this is both technical and non-technical stuff. You see, when hackers are targeting you, they will not target technical guys. They'll target non-technical guys who they'll send you a link. That is the weak link in the system. So once you're able to educate and train your employees, you reduce significantly, close to 95% of the threat of cyber attacks. Yes.
And what's the best way to go about that? You know, just the capacity building, like what should companies do matters in terms of capacity building when it comes to them ensuring that everyone in the company is trained, not just the IT people in the company, but every single person is trained.
If I may, Vivian, one thing I've noticed my colleague mention a couple of things. He said the weak link. Not really. I think we should change terms to not weak, but rather critical. Because, you know, human beings, our emotions, you know, is what makes us human beings.
We were just from speaking about emotional intelligence.
Yes, you know. So when we lack emotions, we, you know, we stop being human beings.
That's true.
So hackers do tend to use those emotions to be able to manipulate us. So we should change the term from, you know, weak to critical. We are critical, very critical. So let's avoid using the term weak. Yeah, so back to the question about what organizations should do. I strongly believe that the first thing is the C-suite, the management, to be able to know that cybersecurity is a very, very important and significant part of organization today and in future. Because now if they do not understand the importance of it, they will not even allocate budget to it. And cybersecurity is not just the traditional IT. We have the IT department, therefore we can be able to, we are safe. You can have a very good IT individual, but then in matters of cybersecurity, they're not as competent as they should be. So again, it goes back to capacity building. So starting from the C-suite, being able to let the managers of the company and the owners, for example, or the whole board understand the importance of having cybersecurity department or personnel in the institution organization. And then coming back to IT individuals, whom should be able to upskill or reskill, for that matter, to understand the latest technologies that are existing in cybersecurity. For example, AI-powered cybersecurity tools. So either you're using them or not. But either way, if you're not using them, then you will be left, you'll be left to not match the current technologies. All right. Then coming back to now the general stuff.
Yeah.
Because simple things like do not use a USB. That you've just picked somewhere. Do not be able to just connect to any password, any Wi-Fi, that is free or open. Such kind of small, simple things that they may look, it becomes an issue if we cannot be able to train our staffs.
Yeah. And speaking about that, we've seen incidences where institutions have been hacked or data being breached in one way or the other because their cybersecurity wasn't really intact. There's a case where we had what's this eCitizen.
The DDoS.
eCitizen was hacked some time back. And maybe what would you say concerning that?
I'd say, especially for the eCitizen attack, was a DDoS attack, denial of distributed denial of service attack. You find that the breach was, they had outdated security protocols. That is what they targeted, and that's how they got into the platform. You find the country was unable to use the eCitizen platform for the different services they provide.
Now, on the same, it was a DDoS attack, and fortunately or unfortunately, I will be on their defense a little bit, because now a DDoS attack is one of the attacks that is very, very difficult to prevent, and it's very, very easy to actually, manage or implement. Very difficult to prevent and very, very easy to implement. So in one way or the other, it was a very good wake-up call for the whole country, the government, the industry, and the academia as well. But I think we are headed there, because from their own, the security teams in the country really started upskilling again and reskilling again, going back to the capacity building.
So the buck stops with that capacity building.
It does.
Mainly.
It does. Why? Because I would break cybersecurity into two main factors. That is the technical factor and the human factor. And the technical factor is the technology aspect of it, and engineers and scientists and researchers are doing really hard work to ensure that we have very safe systems that are existing right now. But then the human factor is where I don't want to say the problem, but is where the whole idea is. So it becomes an issue, because you can invest billions of dollars on security infrastructure for any organization, but if you do not take a chunk of that budget to be able to enforce capacity building, it becomes a very big issue, because it all involves the people, the process, and the technology. And we are building technology for the people.
And now, let's look at an incident where, yes, there's been an attack, a cyber attack. So what's the best way to, for a response to that, like a response plan? That's what I mean. A response plan to quickly recover from that. Are there such?
Yes, there. I was looking at some meme the other day when where it was saying, it was a server room, and then the whole meme was saying, in case of a cyber attack, pull the cables, pull out the cables. So the best thing I would say
how
is...
true is that?
It is practical. It is practical. It's just like when you see an accident, you're driving, press the brakes. It is possible, but again, just to clear it out, a hack or an attack does not necessarily mean there is a data breach. Because when you look at the eCitizen incident, there was no data breach. It was just a denial of service, which actually reminds me to state the three core fundamentals of cybersecurity, which is the CIA triad: the confidentiality, the integrity, and availability. So they denied their availability aspect was the one which was compromised. So if either of them or all of them are compromised, then that is a hack or an attack. Well, in matters response plan, there are a couple of things people are supposed to do. Unfortunately, I don't know if they do it. But the first thing is to be able to isolate. Right? If you realize that the network in a certain department or in a certain room was breached, the first thing is to isolate. Isolate could mean literally again pulling the cables. But again, it wouldn't get to that if the personnel in charge of that were skilled enough, because they will be able to have VLANs everywhere, and then you can be able to isolate it virtually or logically. So you don't need to be able to pull all the cables. After you have isolated, then if you are competent enough, you can be able to do an analysis and determine the type of threat it is and the impact that it has to the organization. And of course, you have to report to the authorities. In fact, when there is a data breach, now it becomes serious for that matter. Now you have to, ODPC is there, the Data Protection Office is there. You have to inform the authorities about the hack. And of course, you need to be able to clearly put it to the public if that has happened and to what extent. Unfortunately, I don't know if many organizations, I've seen a few who do that, but that should be the whole process.
Okay.
Because at the same time, we need to be able to ensure business continuity. That is now the cybersecurity resilience aspect of it.
Exactly. All right, so maybe to you, Getonga,
yes,
what are some mistakes that you've seen businesses make or institutions make, in relation to cybersecurity resilience?
Some of the major and simple rules. I have a lecturer of mine who says you have to keep it simple and stupid. What I mean by that is that simple things like email verifications. You don't have MFA, multiple factor authentication. So you find that login passwords across your board are the same. So that is one of the simplest. Yet, if you look at an example, if you have an Android phone, the most feature you use is Google across all your banking, across all your sectors. So if I am able, and then you find that your password for Google is the same across different, yes. So you see, I am able, it is very simple to attack you or to attack a third party, using you as a third party. So those are some of the key issues that you look into. And companies, especially as Dan has said about data, right now data under the ODPC has to be protected, and we find that there are data controllers approved by the ODPC. If there is breach of something like that, you find that there is a heavy punitives. I was reading their report of last year. They gave out demand notices close to around 10 million for that, for breaching of data. So it is one of the key areas where institutions, where organizations, and as simple as the signing at the security gate, that you leave your data there, right? So it's simple things, day-to-day activities that you need to protect yourself from. Yes.
Yeah, but now how do we curb some of these mistakes? Because some of them, like the way when we go to an institution, you leave your details at the gate. I'm sure you even left your details, while you were coming in here. How to curb that? Because I mean, it's also a way of ensuring, security is looked at.
See, I'd look at it as a two-way. There is the giver of the data and the receiver of the data. You here being the case, let's say at the gate as we came in, you guys are the ones who received the data. If you've trained your employees, your people on cyber security and awareness and data protection, those are some of the things they will look at in terms of protecting that data. So it starts within. It starts within.
Yeah.
I would say again, just to add on what he has mentioned, I would say that many organizations think they are too small to be able to be compromised or attacked.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just a small-time organization that is for big guys to be attacked, which is entirely not true. And those are the, the easy wins for malicious actors. Because the moment you assume you will not be able to even just do a simple thing as, upskilling your team or reskilling your staff, which becomes very, very essential to that. So like you asked, or he mentioned that we were able to leave our data registered at the entrance. Of course, I've never ever given, correct data at any place I go, because now...
What do you mean? So you give false information?
No, it's just a matter of security, because, come on, they're asking my ID number.
People are going to pick that up.
My ID number, my phone number. I mean, those two details are very, very private.
I think that's a bit controversial.
Because now, let me ask you, how will I be sure that the data that I'm leaving there
will be protected?
Yes, will be protected. And how do you think sometimes you randomly get phone calls or text messages from things that you have never even subscribed to? They're those books, and actually they are being sold at in town. 500 bob, you get a full book with the details and contacts for everybody. Yeah, so it's just a case of zero trust again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would advise that, but well, to each their own.
Yeah,
to each their own, for sure. You had mentioned about business continuity planning, right?
Yes.
So how can organizations balance cybersecurity with the business continuity planning?
Thank you for that, Vivian. Now, in terms of continuity, this is how I look at the business aspect and cybersecurity. Now, we have to, again, acknowledge that it could be not cheap for organizations, especially SMEs and some organizations. But again, it is a necessity. So if your core business is to be able to manufacture, let's say, paints or, do X, Y, Z, that is your core business in terms of, your business operations, then I think it will not be ideal if you don't have the budget to have a full team for security personnel in the company. But you can always outsource these particular services, all right? You can outsource a company, like you can outsource as a cyber pro. You can be able to, train your staff, not only train your staff, but make sure that we set up a very good security parameter within your organization, and as well as recommend, the policies and everything in matters security, so that you can concentrate on what you're doing as a business, and we help you secure your business as well.
Yeah. And speaking about that, you mentioned it's expensive. So why is it expensive, and maybe what should be done, or who should come on board in order to ensure that it's not as expensive, so that probably everyone or every organization or company can be able to at least be able to get these services? Okay,
now one issue that comes about in terms of expenses is because globally we are lacking cybersecurity experts. All right. Well, I know maybe somebody who is watching is like, no, I don't have a job here and I'm very good at cybersecurity. We are lacking cybersecurity experts, but again, just to be clear, we are lacking skilled cybersecurity experts. It's one thing to feel like you're a cybersecurity expert, and it's another thing to be skilled at what you think you can be able to do. So that is one issue that is happening. And then in matters, what can happen is I would recommend that we do a risk analysis, so that we can be able to identify and determine the most critical assets in an organization. And then we can be able to have a secure plan for that. Because if, customers have to access your services through an online platform, then it means one of the, high value assets in that organization is maybe the server, if you are hosting it on premise. And so we need to be able to make sure that whatever happens, business has to continue, and that means people have to still access this server. And I doubt if you or the organization is willing to spend all that money to be able to have an on-prem cybersecurity individual, because at the end of the month it could hurt these small-time organizations. So we find that it's very cheaper to be able to contract these services in reputable organizations, all right? And so it reduces, aggressively reduces the cost to be able to handle the security aspects.
Yeah, so and also just maybe trying to make it affordable is for us to have more skilled cybersecurity experts.
So the whole point is training.
Yeah.
So training will, and again for cybersecurity, there is, the non-technical aspect, which is, GRC, governance, risk and compliance, talking about legals and frameworks, international and locally, and then we have got the technical aspect, which is penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, gap analysis. The other one which lies between non-technical and technical is IT audit. And you see all of these things, we curated a very good curriculum. Both that is accepted locally and of course recognized globally as CyberPro, that we can be able to train our individuals, especially in Kenya, that you can be able to be upskilled to the extent that you become very much skilled, and of course there is opportunity, very huge opportunity.
So there's clearly a gap, for the Form 4 students who actually just finished. This is an area they can look into. Nice. Okay, so maybe what are some of the common challenges that organizations face when it comes to building cybersecurity resilience that you can talk about? Common challenges.
Common challenges
Yeah.
is enforcement of policies. I'd say you'll find companies have good policies to help them under cyber attacks, but compliance of the same and the enforcement of the same are two different aspects. At times you find that companies do not give 100% towards cybersecurity training and threats. So it becomes, yes, you have the policies, but they are just desktop policies. So enforcement goes a long way. And enforcement can be tackled in two ways. Once you give capacity building to your employees and they feel and see the need of protecting what you have, they will appreciate and follow the policies. So that is one of the things where companies, yes, you will have desktop policies, but enforcement of the same becomes an issue. And then also, cybersecurity has to be a continuous training. Things change. Hackers keep getting better every time. So it has to be a continuous effect. You can't say because we did it last year, we can't do it this year. There are companies who do it even 3 times or every quarter. So you have to keep up with the changing trends.
So those are some of the challenges.
Continuous improvement.
Okay. How best to ensure security measures adapt to new and evolving cyber threats? As you've mentioned, things keep evolving. So how best to ensure that, to your query?
Oh, to me, okay. Thank you for that. Now, I like what the government is doing currently. They're really coming up with very good policies, and I know I've worked with a few, and I like the way they are seeing things right now. We're even planning to, I overheard that even small organizations that are having at least 50 to 100 people, they need to be able to have an on-prem security personnel. And so you see now, when we are able to have these local policies and regulations, and then enforce them again, like he mentioned, we can be able to have a very strong, security architecture, even for small-time businesses and even individuals as well. So I really look up and wait for what the government is doing, and I know they are really doing it. I know something is cooking because we have had as a company, as CyberPro, conversations with them. And I'm very much positive that we have come a long way and we are heading somewhere. In the next few months, probably, we will be way past some of these conversations.
And what steps, maybe, do you feel should be taken or can be taken in order to create a culture of cybersecurity awareness?
What steps to be taken?
What steps should be taken in order to create a culture of cybersecurity awareness?
I'd say, as my colleague said, ownership by C-suite executives. See, when it starts at the top, when at the top they appreciate and enforce these policies, these manuals, the people down trickle down. There's a trickle down effect all the way to even the security guard at the gate. So once the C-suite executives appreciate and are able to monitor the same, it becomes easier as a company to wave over the cybersecurity things.
Okay. There's AI now, artificial intelligence. It's been here, it's here, and I feel like it's here to stay now. So maybe what role does AI play when it comes to cybersecurity?
Oh, well, allow me to respond. That
you've been seeing me.
Yeah, a lot recently, especially related to AI and cybersecurity. That ChatGPT lost its job to AI, and it was you know, the DeepSeek, for the Chinese. I like what the Chinese have done so far. But AI is here to stay, and it's not going anywhere for that matter. So we have to, whether you like it or not, brace ourselves to it. And cybersecurity currently, it's impacting hugely on cybersecurity architecture, because right now most of the tools that that are used in cybersecurity are powered by AI, and now even bad actors, hackers, people call them hackers, but I like call them bad actors, are using these AI-powered cybersecurity tools to be able to perform their attacks, which means they are very smart, super smart, they are fast, and they can be able to even, lack of a better word, mutate, because they are able to learn the functioning of a firewall and update itself based on the way, you know, the target is, and work around a network and get inside, you know, to compromise the systems. So how do you, or are you able to, you know, man up or be able to be up for the challenge? Is definitely to use AI against AI. Human against AI, it's not possible. And a very good saying that goes, AI is never going to replace people. No, it's not.
Oh, there's that conversation.
Yeah, AI is never going to replace people, but people with AI are going to replace people without AI. And that is a fact. Yeah. So the better we become ourselves in, you know, getting to understand better AI is, I mean, good for us. I will be very happy if one day we are able to have a Kenyan African-based GPT. Yeah. It will be a really the awakening call. But again, that is a whole conversation on its own. So on cybersecurity and AI, it's getting to a point whereby there will be no cybersecurity without AI. Because most, like for now, I would give it an 80% cyber, because you look at the tools that are existing currently, they are being powered by AI, right? 90% of them. So it's just the remaining 10%, the traditional tools, of course. But in the long run, in the next few months, cybersecurity will be fully powered by AI.
So, Gitonga, you agree that it's time we all get skilled on AI?
Yes, I agree. And you see, one of the things about AI and the cybersecurity, as businesses have to leverage themselves on AI-driven solutions, both in detection and response of threats. You'll find also that there is also AI has you're able to have personalized trainings in different sectors. So it becomes even easier for cybersecurity as a tool to detect where do you go wrong, or where are you going wrong. And one of the things about CyberPro is that we are among the pioneers in using AI to do some of the things, whether it's penetration, whether it's training. Using AI and leveraging the tools that are available to them is one of the key areas, and also one of the ways that we have also set ourselves aside as a company.
Okay, we are all at a position to be hacked, or to for our data to be breached in one way or the other. Just for individuals, probably we've talked about organizations and company, but now for individuals, just what's the best way to ensure that you are secure, like your data is secure, and you are just secure when you're online, in terms of you avoiding getting hacked and whatnot?
Thank you for that, Vivian. What do they say? If it croaks like a what?
If it walks like a duck.
Yeah, if it walks like a duck, then definitely it is a duck. And most of the times, you always, the moment you find urgency in any communication, again, it might be true, maybe it is a genuine thing, but the moment you find urgency, especially in a communication that you're not aware of, it's the first red flag. And so I'm not saying you don't trust, you trust, but the first thing after that you verify. Right? The moment you find agency, the moment you are winning lottery or you're winning iPhone 17, which you never participated, you know, it becomes, the moment a Bible application on your phone is asking access to your contacts or camera. I mean, why? Why would a Bible application ask for camera access on my phone? Yeah. So there are some of the things when you look at, you're able to see it. I mean, it's working like a duck.
Yeah, he called it something to do with simple and stupid.
Yeah, you
That's
keep
what
it.
The lecturer taught
Yes,
them.
you keep it simple and stupid. It's called KISS, KISS. The KISS principle, one of the key principles of cybersecurity architecture. Yeah, you keep it very simple and very stupid. It makes it easy for the good guys to use and very difficult for the bad guys to use. Yeah.
So for one to just be protect themselves, just look out for some of the really small things, you know, nitty-gritties.
Exactly.
Yeah, you've been sent for some link you didn't even ask for, and then you're there, you're just clicking on it.
Just clicking, opening images, you know. And recently, not only for, in fact, even the common guys who are not really much techie. Last week I received an email from my boss with a lot of urgency to be able to change my password. And you know, I was sitting next to him and then I asked him, why are you sending me, you know, an email to change my password? He told me, no, I never sent you an email. But when you look at the email, it is exactly my boss's email. And you see now hackers are getting very smart, as smart as that. It is the exact same email he uses. Yeah. And I've received again so many, you know, now we are into this business. We have received so many links to be able to, you know, just click on it, phishing links, so many documents that are very malicious. So now what you do, we have got free tools and free platforms, even as, you know, a person who is not so much techie. One of them is virustotal.com. You just copy and paste the link there or upload a file there. It will give you all the details. If it's a, you know, a genuine file or it's a genuine link or not genuine, it will give you. Because that is one of the databases where all the antiviruses get their sources of data from.
All right. As we almost come to a conclusion of this conversation, maybe to you, Gitonga, just what would you want to be people's take home from our conversation?
Probably what our take home, I'd also add to what Dan said. We have free webinars every month to try and sensitize people on data protection and cybersecurity. So that is one of the avenues. And there are many avenues across the board where individuals can learn basics of what to do and what not to do in terms of cybersecurity. My take home would be if you're looking to get into the cyberspace or to protect your businesses, the best place to come is at CyberPro. We have customized offers for both for all across the board, government institutions, is it businesses, is it individuals? And what we do at CyberPro, you get, we are accredited institutions by NITA, by ODPC, and also we have, we are accredited trainers under EC Council, the Global EC Council. So one of the things you get from us is you'll get the whole package. You'll get to have your certifications and inculcating knowledge into some of these processes. You find that right now the places, one of the key areas, especially in cybersecurity, where there'll be a lot of hula baloo probably in the next 2 years, is a GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. Because at the end of the day, we've said this, it's changing. It's coming, and you have to be prepared. So those are some of the key areas where we'll be looking into.
Okay. As we finalize now a query, what's the future of cybersecurity trends? As you also give us your last remarks.
AI is the future. It's the current and the future. AI is not just cybersecurity, but the whole technology. So AI is the current right now and will be the future, and there is no changing that. Of course, there are other technologies like IoT and you know, data science and everything, but AI is the future in matters cybersecurity. So you become rightfully placed, because if you don't position yourself that way, then you'll be knocked out. So my take home is we are ISO 27001 2022 certified, and that means how serious we take our business. Yeah, it's a very intense certification to be able to get the ISMS one, and so that means that you'll be in a very safe hands to be able to do business with us or work with us. And when it comes to training or having your security solutions sorted, yeah, and this is interdisciplinary. We don't focus on just tech guys, like even the media guys like yourself. There is a tailored, customized training for media, all right, in matters privacy, data privacy, in matters frameworks, in matters regulations, just for you guys. When it comes to guys taking agriculture, education, and all sorts of that, we have a huge catalog. But of course, for techie again, we have got all those catalogs in terms of penetration testing and certified ethical hacking. And one thing we emphasize on in our trainings is communication and ethics, because it's very important to be able to have that. Just because you can be able to work around and penetrate a system does not mean you have to unless you get consent. And how do you communicate this to people? How do you tell them, your system is compromised? Yeah. So communication and ethics is one of the key things that we are able to highlight in all our curriculum across. And so we have our partners, our training partners at the University of Nairobi, Chiromo, Catholic University of Eastern Africa, Daystar University, Rongo University, and Meru University.
Okay.
Yeah, so those are our training partners. You can be able to find us there, and our offices are in Hurlingham, where we also have an academy. If you want to enroll, you can always join us and, of course, get more details to it. Or visit our website, cyberpro.ke.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. This is where we end this talk. I've been having Tyson Gitonga, who is a business development manager, as well as Danstan Akwiri, who is the vice president, CyberPro Global. Our conversation was on building resilience in cyber security. And this is where we end Good Morning Kenya for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Vivian Ndegwa. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Goodbye.
Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Ndio at least ndio nikiona vizuri. Hapa inaona.
Mtoto akililia wembe, sharti ainame.
Hawa ni kina nani tujuane?
Huyu sasa ndio Mbuta Lukaso.
Nilikuwa na daktari hapa amenitimbu.
Daktari gani huyo?
Mkaka amenikanda na maji moto.
Nisipaka ndio mchezo. Uwezi kwenda hata pole pole.
Unataka kukaa na mimi ukifanya nini hapa? Naona kiti ni mtu mmoja.
Wewe usinichuje hapa na pewe ni mtumwa.
Mimi ni mtumwa.
Usishukishie jaba mamako tafadhali.
Pindi tunapowasha vifaa vyetu, tunapata fursa ya kutangamana na wasikilizaji wetu.
Karibu sana thĩinĩ wa tabarĩra ya Rwiga.
Tunapeperusha utangazaji uliobobea katika habari,
Nĩ ũndũ wa macio na mangĩ maingĩ,
burudani,
ni hali ya tukoragwo tukĩigua nyĩmbo mwaki nyĩmbo hoda,
na hamasisho la kiroho. Usiachwe nyuma. Jiunge nasi kwa safari ya kufana katika 99.5 FM. Solo FM.
Africa, a major frontier for commercial oil palm expansion, with approximately 4 million hectares of oil palm production spread